to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So let's do something a little bit different tonight. We haven't done the text for a while. So the text reading from the Course in Miracles text for today, which is entitled Grandeur versus Grandiosity. So I'm going to bring that up. Where is it? Here's up here. There we go. Grandeur versus Grandiosity. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is the difference between grandeur and grandiosity? We're going to answer that question by reading the text. It's 11 paragraphs. So, yeah, that should do us nicely for the session. By the end of that, we'll probably be done. So, do you want to read the original or the alternative?
I'll read the original.
Okay. So, just sentence by sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll read the alternative after each sentence.
Okay. So, grandeur is of God and only of Him.
Grandeur is of pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance, and only of it. I wonder if grandeur comes from, is of. This is where your help is always useful. Grandeur comes from. Does that sound better than is of?
Comes from. Yeah.
Grandeur comes from as opposed to grandeur is of. I mean, is of is quite old fashioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use it. So
Yeah.
the idea of the alternative is to just make it a bit smoother, more contemporary. Grandeur comes from pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance. So what I've started doing from now, because of this abundance idea, is pure formless awareness of perfect love or pure formless awareness, any of those.
Yeah.
The other name for it is abundance.
Yeah.
It's abundance itself.
Yeah.
So whichever way you think of it, whether you think of it as this pure awareness of love, perfect love, which sometimes is very appropriate, but sometimes if you're dealing in, let's say, issues related to money and generosity and these kinds of things, thinking of it as abundance is really helpful. So when I made the decision to come, I went, well, what would abundance do? Well, it's obvious, right? What would love do? Not necessarily that obvious, because I also had to let people down in my household. So I had to bear that in. So there was a kind of, I'm not sure, but what would abundance do? It's like, okay, but there's no scarcity, there's no lack, there's no limitation. So what would the abundant thing to do be? It would be to go and, be present and trust, and so go, oh, but, can I afford it? Is there enough money? Just go, I'm going to go and I'm going to trust this whole process. If I'm getting the guidance, then I must trust that. And that's an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Grandeur comes from pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance, and only from it.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Abundance cannot come from the ego, even though the ego tries to tell you that abundance can come from it. And this is where the grandiosity comes in, as we'll get into. Okay, so number 2.
Therefore, it is in you.
Therefore, it is in you.
Whenever you become aware of it, however dimly, you abandon the ego automatically, because in the presence of the grandeur of God, the meaninglessness of the ego becomes perfectly apparent.
Yeah, so I'm just going to, this is one, for some reason, it slipped through the cracks. I've translated, I thought I'd done every single lesson, but this one I hadn't personalized. So you see, instead of you, it's I. Whenever I become aware of it, over dimly, I abandon, which makes it much more. It makes, I think, a big difference to people's understanding of the text.
Yeah.
Because it becomes very personal. It's not a theory, you concept. It's I, or everything becomes first person. So, and one of the things people struggle with in the text is how to apply it.
Yeah.
So the I naturally leads them to application of it. I abandon the belief in separation, and then belief in separation is also the belief in scarcity. So the ego belief in separation is now the belief in separation and scarcity, because separation leads to scarcity, which then is the contrast to abundance. So you see where I'm going with it. So now suddenly you're reading the text and you're going, oh, okay, so God has become abundance. God has become love or abundance, depending on what's most helpful. And the ego is separation or scarcity. I think those words are much more helpful than the originals. God or the ego, because what does that actually mean? What does the ego mean? What does God mean? That's, as we know, that's very open to interpretation. The word God has been one of the most misinterpreted words in human history, probably. The ego is probably pretty much up there with it as well. What does the ego actually mean? That's the question. And we study the course so that we learn that. But in one word, to really understand the word ego, you need to understand the whole course. So rather just make it simpler and say, well, it's actually just a belief in separation, which automatically entails scarcity. So separation and scarcity go together. Therefore, it's the belief in separation and scarcity. Okay. So where was I? Yeah. Have you read number 3? You read number 3, yeah.
I have.
Whenever I become aware of it, however dimly, I abandon the belief in separation and scarcity automatically, because in the presence of the grandeur of pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance. I'm going to just change that. There's too many ofs there. Grandeur of perfect love or abundance. And that needs a comma. So you're getting now a taste of what I did several years ago. Just a lot. Whereas as we went, we'd edit it. The meaninglessness of the belief in separation and scarcity, double scarcity in there, becomes perfectly apparent.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4.
When this occurs, even though it does not understand it, the ego believes that its enemy has struck and attempts to offer gifts to induce you to return to its protection.
When this occurs, even though it does not understand it, the belief in separation and scarcity believes that its enemy, quote, has struck and attempts to offer gifts to induce me to return to its, quote, protection. It sounds like a protection racket, and I think that's what he's trying to make it sound like. He has in one of the lessons, I think it's 73, he says, the ego traffics. It's the middleman trafficking in grievances. It's such a beautiful analogy, isn't it? It traffics in grievances, just like you traffic in drugs or arms or human beings, or it's got a really kind of distasteful sense to it, hasn't it? That word traffic is like, oh, it's like the lowest of the low of human behavior and commerce, because people obviously make money, but it's like the worst way to possibly make money. So he's like, just with the use of that word, equating the ego with all of that.
It's a very exploitative word, isn't it? Traffic.
Yeah. Traffic. Yeah, it's very, very emotionally evocative, and he knows that. So he uses it really, really intelligent in that case. It's like, because this is what the ego does. It's trafficking in grievances to drain your life energy, to convince you that you really are separate, and scarcity and separation are real, and that abundance isn't. And it's just like a drug dealer or an arms dealer or something. It's that kind of really low vibrational energy mindset. It's just like, well, I'm just going to use and abuse you, essentially. So brilliant. But in one word, he's just got all of that, just that, because that one word association he knows is going to like, okay, just that one word does it. Really, I mean, it is a masterpiece of literature as well, this course, the way he's written it. And I know it doesn't always resonate with you, but maybe, Archie, if you stick with it, the text will sort of, you'll come up to it. It starts to resonate a bit more, especially if you read the alternative versions as well.
Yeah.
Which is, that's exactly why we translate it, because if it's just this and it doesn't resonate, it's quite difficult, So what I started doing was saying, okay, well, think of God as love, and think of the ego as the belief in separation. And okay, well, that does change it a bit. That gives me better understanding. So I was like, well, we'll just write it down then.
Yeah.
Create an alternative version, so it's written down for anyone to read anytime. They don't need me there. Okay, so number 5, where are we? Self-inflation.
Yeah, self-inflation is the only offering it can make.
Self-inflation is the only offering it can make.
The grandiosity of the ego is its alternative to the grandeur of God.
I'll make that full screen. Grandiosity of the belief in separation and scarcity is its alternative to the grandeur of perfect love or abundance. And there you see the juxtaposition very clearly. Belief in separation and scarcity is perfect love or abundance. Love is oneness. Abundance is the opposite of scarcity. And which will you choose?
Yeah, which will you choose?
Which again, just really asking us. He does a lot with questions. If you notice, he does it in the workbook as well. He asks us questions.
Yeah.
As a way of really getting us to question ourselves. So, so it's just a teaching. So, okay, so which will you choose? Okay, well, I should be choosing abundance. It should be obvious, but actually, am I choosing abundance, or maybe I'm not? Maybe I'm choosing separation, scarcity a lot of the time. If I'm honest, which is the second characteristic of God's teachers. You need to be honest. About the choices you're making. Because if you think that separation and scarcity is abundance and you delude yourself into believing that, then there's no hope. You're not going to change, are you? You're like, no, well, I'm really abundant in my thinking. I watched half an hour of a Tom Hanks movie called Otto.
Oh yes, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched about half an hour. So the script is he's lost his wife, who was the love of his life, and so he's now like really bitter, and he's retired, and he feels useless, so he wants to kill himself. But meantime, he's the most cantankerous neighbor you could ever ask for. He's like that nightmare neighbor who's going patrolling in the car park and going, get off the grass, and rules and regs and whatever. So this lady brings him some food and says, brought you some food. And he says, right, well, thanks. I don't think he even said thanks. Okay, well, bye then. What do you want, He said, are you always this friendly? You're always this unfriendly. And he said, I'm not unfriendly. He said, oh, yes, of course. You radiate friendliness and kindness. And of course, he knew that she had a point, because he's not being friendly at all. He's being horribly judgmental and controlling, because that's his way of trying to create some meaning. And the ego is trying to create some meaning in its miserable existence by being in charge of something, even if it's the grass in the yard. At least it's something. So it's about being honest and saying, if I'm really honest, then no, I'm not being friendly. I'm not being kind right now. So therefore, I'm out of alignment. And then, then the correction must come. As soon as you're honest, then that opens the way for forgiveness, because you go, okay, I can see that that's out of alignment. I'm not proud of myself, but I have to acknowledge it, but then I can make a change. But until I see the error, I think it's fine. I'm not going to change, am I? And that's the paradox of forgiveness. You've got to acknowledge the error, but then let it go.
Yeah.
Because if you don't see it, then you don't think there's a problem. You're never going to let it go. So, but if you see it too much and you focus too much on it, then you're not going to let it go. So
Yeah.
it's like I notice it, and then I just swiftly move on to stage two, which is just letting it go and recognizing that it's actually just a delusion. That takes a lot of mind training, which is why we practice and we practice and we practice, because it's quite subtle. All right. So any other thoughts on number one?
No, at this point.
Anything strike you there?
No. Well,
what's he saying? I usually ask people to summarize the paragraph in a nutshell. What is he saying there in a nutshell?
that kind of grandeur comes from love or abundance or pure formless awareness of perfect love. And grandiosity comes from the ego. And as you said, the belief in scarcity and separation.
Yeah, which is all the ego is. I think also it's really helpful to say it's just a belief in separation and scarcity.
Yeah, I like that.
Otherwise,
Belief
the
in,
ego, it can seem to be very, very powerful, very real, very threatening, very scary. Oh, the ego there. And so I think, again, that's what happens a lot in spiritual circles. People give it a reality that it doesn't really have.
Yeah.
But if you don't give it an identity, in the same way as you don't give God an identity, so your God, ego, both three letters, very short, to the point, but they don't really tell you what's behind it. They're not descriptive.
Well,
Whereas if you just expand it a bit and you say belief in separation and scarcity, it's like, oh, okay, so it's just a belief. That's all it is.
but
Not that
Wayne
scary.
Dyer talks about ego standing for edging God out.
Yes.
So, that, yeah. I always found that interesting as well, actually, because that's quite a good little reminder that you're edging God out, you're
Yes.
excluding,
Well, you're
God.
excluding oneness. Essentially, separation excludes oneness. You can't be separate and one, which is a very logical position to take. I can't be perfectly one and also be separate because they contradict each other.
Yeah.
That simple logic, but that simple logic has eluded all of the major traditional religions. They don't get it. Yeah, well, you can't reconcile these. Oneness and separation do not reconcile. They contradict each other.
Yeah.
So until you see that and you accept that, you are constantly trying to make them reconcile and failing.
Yeah.
That's essentially all dualistic spiritual paths, religions are trying to somehow reconcile the irreconcilable.
Yeah.
And non-dual teachings just say you can't. It's not possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's been
So give up on that idea.
That's been the biggest kind of realization for me, actually, Jonathan, is that that it's one or the other. You can't have both.
You can't fudge it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas until you have that realization, you're
Yeah.
going to try and fudge it. You're going to try and say, well, I can have a little bit of both. I can, things that I want in the ego, so I can pick and choose some of those. And then, I like the spiritual stuff, and I'll just kind of pick and choose. And, yes, I can create my reality, and it's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Yeah.
Because the one thought system, if you believe in that, has consequences that are inevitable, and so does the other. So if you choose the ego, if you choose separation, you might have a few little bits of nice stuff, superficially nice stuff.
Yeah.
But you've chosen guilt and fear and attack and sickness and death. So those will then come to haunt you because that's what you chose. You just didn't realize when you chose separation to be a separate self that that's what you're choosing.
Yeah.
You have to have a teacher like Jesus to tell you this is wake up, this is what you're choosing. And you choose it all or you choose none of it. It's one or the other. If you choose a little bit of separation, you have to accept all of its consequences. You can't be a little bit separate.
Yeah.
You're either separate or you're not.
Yeah.
You're either pregnant or you're not, right? There's no like in between. I'm half pregnant.
Yeah.
So when people say, oh, well, the course is a bit too full on for me, it's like, well, that's a ridiculous statement. What do you want? Like a half on kind of spirituality? The human race wouldn't exist if men were only half on, pardon but I mean, it has to be full on or not at all, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
So we've got to accept that, or not. And if you reject it, then all you're left with is some kind of dualistic teaching that's trying to merge these opposites and reconcile what's fundamentally irreconcilable.
Mm.
And then you're going to get all kinds of problems and all kinds of lacks of integrity and all
Mm.
kinds of illogical things happening. For instance, I told you about that conversation I had with a chap where we're having a conversation about separation. He said, "No, I'm of the alternative school of
Yeah.
non-duality." I'm like, "Oh, well, what's that then?" Well, actually, it just turns out to be duality. No, that's not the alternative school of non-duality. That's duality. So that is, in fact, the opposite of non-duality. Let's
Mm.
just be very clear. When I pointed this out to him, he wasn't very, happy, and we
Mm.
terminated the conversation. But if you're being really honest, that's the truth.
Mm.
You can't have an alternative school of non-duality. Non-dual means there's only one awareness. There's only one truth. There's
Mm.
no alternative. That's the whole point of non-dual.
Mm.
I tried to get this across to him, but he couldn't really,
Mm.
because his ego was trying to fudge it and trying to say, well, yes, I know about spirituality, but I still want the body. And uh, clearly sex was important to him. So he then chose Tantra as a spiritual path because it allowed him to do what he wanted to do.
Mm.
And he didn't have to give that up then. Isn't that interesting how people do that? They'll find a spiritual path that then works for their ego, which is then just spiritualized ego. That
Mm.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I could see had happened, because he had studied the course, he'd studied Advaita, but he'd rejected it. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? He said, well, because the human body is beautiful, and the human body, it can give you the great, great experiences, and you can have this pleasure. And I'm like, yeah, but it dies. It gets sick, it gets old, it dies. So if you choose that, then you're choosing all of that as well, right?
Mm.
Yes, it gives you some temporary pleasure, but you're also choosing to be mortal and to die. So that's quite a major
Mm.
problem, really, in the whole choice. If you're eternal and you choose to die, then you're clearly deluded.
Mm.
There's a fundamental contradiction and problem there, which again, the ego didn't want to see. It doesn't want to see this. Anyone who's wedded to a dualistic teaching will not look at this because then their entire belief system will come into question
Mm.
and will inevitably be undone by the truth if they're really honest.
Mm.
Which is why then a lot of people just shy away from it. They go, oh, it just course is too full on for me, too much, can't understand it. No, just put it down, put it away. Yeah, interesting. I'll dip into it every now and then. But because if you really get into this, it is going to fundamentally undo your ego. It's a
Yeah.
fact. You can't read this and really be honest with yourself and really understand it and it not undo your ego. Because that's how it's designed it. It will undo your ego. That's what he's designed it to do.
Mm.
Okay. So let's move on. Grandiosity. Shall I read the so switch it? I'll read the
Mhm.
this time.
Yeah.
Grandiosity is always a cover for despair.
Grandiosity is always a cover for despair.
It is without hope because it is not real.
It is without hope because it is not real.
It is an attempt to counteract your littleness based on the belief that the littleness is real.
It is an attempt to counteract my littleness based on the belief that the littleness is real.
Take that comma away. Without this belief, grandiosity is meaningless and you could not possibly want it.
Without this belief, grandiosity is meaningless and I could not possibly want it.
The essence of grandiosity is competitiveness because it always involves attack.
The essence of grandiosity is competitiveness because it always involves attack.
It is a delusional attempt to outdo, but not to undo.
It is a delusional attempt to outdo, but not to undo.
We said before that the ego vacillates between suspiciousness. Is that actually a word?
What?
Suspicion, really, shouldn't it be? Is suspiciousness a word?
No,
I don't think it is it?
no, no. I would say suspicion.
Yeah, well, that's how I've translated it, but he uses
Yeah.
suspiciousness and viciousness.
Well, I guess it kind of sounds, yeah,
Yeah, that's why
yeah,
he's used,
yeah,
probably
because it's
used it,
got the,
but
yeah, but
I
yeah,
don't think it is actually. I've never seen it used anywhere else.
no,
Suspiciousness,
no, yeah,
suspicion. Anyway, yeah. So that's in the
yeah,
translation there. If you read
yeah,
number 7.
yeah. So we said before that the belief in separation and scarcity vacillates between suspicion and viciousness.
So, yeah, sure. Said before.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
yes.
does it help you? Interesting, because I changed the name from Jesus because I also got that feedback from one of my students
Mm-hmm.
that if you change the name, it's again like, okay, now I'm thinking differently about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that name Jesus again has been used by Christian religion over
Yeah.
and over and over, and it's come to be associated with a certain perception, certain belief system.
Yeah.
You change that. You say, no, actually, his real name was Yeshua because it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Jesus is the anglicized version of
Yeah.
Yeshua,
Yeah.
which was his Jewish name.
Yeah.
Then suddenly it changed. It just removes that. He wasn't Jesus anymore, the historical Jesus of the
Mm.
church and the Bible and all the tradition. It suddenly just helps you go, well, actually, maybe I can see it differently.
Yeah.
Which again is why why I've changed it. It's not because I'm trying to be clever or you
Mm.
know superior or whatever. It's just because I think it's actually quite helpful
Yeah. No, I would
to
agree.
to change that.
Actually, I think it is.
Again,
Yeah.
it's a shift of like, okay, so if he was Yeshua
Mm.
and he wasn't actually Jesus, and so the whole story of Jesus that I've been told to believe in, and which maybe I don't resonate with, or maybe that's not true. Maybe that's a misinterpretation
Mm.
of who he really was. Maybe he was Yeshua, who was just a spiritual teacher,
Mm.
and all of that then got reinterpreted, misinterpreted later down the line, and this whole false idol of Jesus was invented because they had to do something with it. I mean, it was such a powerful story; they had to do something with it. They couldn't ignore it.
Mm.
Once it had got out, then it was like, okay, so now we've got to change the story and we've got to guide this in a certain way to
Mm.
maintain control, to make sure the ego is still in
Mm.
charge and in control, because this guy's just given us the key to undo the ego.
Yeah.
If we really listen to the teachings, this is going to free everyone's mind. Everyone's going to awaken. Well, we can't have that, says the ego. So
Mm.
we've got to manipulate the teachings so that they subtly different, or actually quite profoundly different.
Mm.
If you look at traditional Christianity to mystic Christianity based on truth, they don't even belong in the same religion. They actually
No.
contradict each other.
Yes.
So you say, oh, this is mystic Christianity, this is traditional Christianity. It's like,
Mm.
well, they're actually just different belief systems.
Yeah.
They don't really reconcile at all. Again, yeah, seeing the differences. I think this is one of the key teachings of the course is you must see the difference between the ego and the Holy Spirit and between truth and illusion. If you don't acknowledge and see the difference and judge against the ego, that's not forgiveness. You can't accept both. So
Yeah.
again, some teachers, course teachers included, say, well, there's no judgment. And there are passages in the course where he talks about no judging. But what he means is no wrong minded judgment. He means no condemnatory judgment, no
Yeah.
attacking judgment, blaming judgment, none of that judgment. That's what he means. But then he has other passages where he talks about, you need judgment. The Holy Spirit is inherently judgmental. So what
Mm.
does he mean by that? He means that it's right minded judgment. It's a judgment that simply discerns between the truth and the illusion and
Yeah.
says, I see the illusion for what it is, it's false, and therefore I must let it go.
Mm.
Therefore, forgiveness relies on judgment. You can't forgive and not judge against the ego. It's impossible. In order to practice forgiveness, you have to judge, but you have to be right-mindedly judgmental and not condemning. If someone is wrong, you
Mm.
just see that they're wrong, but you don't condemn them for it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
But you still have to make that judgment call. You have to say, it's incorrect. They're wrong. If you look at Jesus, he was the most loving man probably ever lived, but he was very judgmental of the ego. He
Yeah.
said, no, this is not correct. To the Pharisees and Sadducees, he said, you guys are, you're leading people down the garden path and you're saying you got the truth, but it's not the truth. and I have to highlight that because otherwise people will carry on believing in this rubbish that you're teaching them, and they're never going to come to God. So I have to judge against your teachings. And obviously didn't make friends by doing that, as we know, didn't win friends and influence people in high places. But if he hadn't made that stand and he hadn't judged against the ego, then his teachings would not have been as powerful. No way. No, they were powerful because he took a stand against the ego and he stood for the light.
Yeah.
Anyway, I go on. So let's carry on. Let's crack on. Where are we? Number 8, I think. No, yeah, 8. It remains suspicious as long as you despair of yourself.
It remains suspicious as long as I despair of myself.
It shifts to viciousness when you decide not to tolerate self-abasement and seek relief.
It shifts to viciousness when I decide not to tolerate self-abasement and seek relief.
Then it offers you the illusion of attack as a, quote, solution.
Then it offers me the illusion of attack as a solution.
So that's very psychologically interesting what he's saying there, isn't it?
And also very emotive language as well. I mean, I'm really like just the first line, grandiosity is always a cover for despair. I mean, just the word despair again is just like, really, really emotive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does it deliberately. So think of
Yeah.
your favorite orange friend, Donald Trump.
Yes.
His
Yeah.
grandiosity is a cover for despair. That man is
Yeah.
actually not
Yeah.
happy. He's
Yeah.
despair. He's out of his depth.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
probably very lost.
Mm.
But all the grandiosity just covers that over.
Mm.
He's like, okay, well, I've got to pretend. I can't like break down and say I'm actually a psychological wreck and like, I don't really know who I am. I can't do that. So I've
Yeah.
just got to be more grandiose. That's
Yeah.
the way I'm going to cover over
Yeah.
that inner despair of a pointless, a fruitless thought system that's
Yeah.
actually leading nowhere and is just creating a lot of pain and suffering for himself and others, the whole world. All he can do is be more grandiose.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's all the ego, that's all it can do with
And
that. So then his behavior becomes completely logical once you understand what he's dealing with psychologically. Then you have to have a sense of compassion. Would you want to trade places with him? I mean, he's stuck. He's in a bind.
yeah.
Like, how do you shift now? So
Mm.
imagine if suddenly he woke up. I mean, how would you even go about telling the world that suddenly, you've been a complete idiot
Yeah.
and lost in illusion and now I mean he'd probably have to resign. He'd probably just have to say, I can't do this anymore. It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it's enough. Which would then his ego is going to be like, that's humiliation, you failed, because you're the president and you have to see out your term and you have to do 2 terms of office because then you're one of the all of that grandiosity, investment in all of that stuff, which doesn't mean anything. But in Donald Trump's in the grandiose thought system of the ego, it means everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I was the president of the United States. I had 2 terms of office, like all the great ones did. I was a great man. I did these great things. I invaded Iraq. I have to go to war. To be great, you have to go to war, right? That's the grandiosity again, and competitive always involves attack. So notice, I mean, Donald Trump is never very far away from attack. Either people are attacking him or he's attacking someone else.
Yeah.
Now expressed, on a global scale, is okay. Well, I'm going to go attack a country and actually go to war, but it was inevitable. You could have predicted it. I remember them saying, well, only one of the positive things about his first administration was that he didn't go to war. Well, just give him give him some time, give him a second one, and he'll correct that. He's going to go to war because attack demands that. What else are you going to do if you believe in attack but go and attack people? And then that becomes war. Um, and then this is really interesting. Number 8, it remains suspicious as long as I despair of myself. Okay, so this is the hopelessness, the despair. If you look at let's tab across to
But I like sentence number 6 as well, about because that's quite kind of the way it's phrased about the difference between undo is not
yeah
I can't remember the sentence now, but
well, let's go back there. But I just want to show you. So there's the despair. So
yeah,
this is very low energy, very low frequency
yes,
energy,
yeah,
inertia, despair, depression, all those things.
yeah,
So that's self-abasement. People who are in that are very, very much in the victim. Oh, my life is terrible. They can't change. It's just very low energy.
mm,
So he's saying when you no longer willing to tolerate that self-abasement, then you get angry. Then you
mm,
go up the energy level, but still negative.
mm,
And then pride. So pride, anger. So someone like Donald Trump is there, but it covers over. This is stuff still there, but
mm,
it's covered over by the grandiosity of the pride and all the anger. When the pride is wounded, then what happens? You get angry. You fall
yeah,
down a level and you get
yeah,
angry. I mean, so brilliant scale. You can see exactly how this plays out
yeah,
in the human psyche and in behavior when you understand it. And then someone like Donald Trump becomes quite understandable. You go, I understand where he is. I understand what he's doing.
yeah,
And I have to have some compassion because he's just stuck. He's stuck at a low level of energy and he doesn't know how to free himself. But now all of his stuckness is being demonstrated on the world stage for everyone to see.
mm,
Well, imagine how humiliating that is.
yeah,
I mean, just uh, you have to have an incredibly thick skin. I suppose that's what he's developed.
mm,
Just like this grandiose personality that's like got this defensive armor of the grandiosity to protect him from all the ridicule because everyone thinks he's an idiot. And
mm,
anyone who's intelligent thinks, you're just like an idiot. He doesn't have the respect of people who are really intelligent and smart and spiritually awakened.
mm,
Um, only people on a lower level down here. Yes, if you're sitting at 175, pride, grandiosity, all that kind of stuff, someone who's in anxiety or despair or blame is going to think you're more powerful.
mm,
So you then have to appeal to people who on a lower frequency. You can't go above you because people above you are going to see through it and go, you're an imposter, you're a fraud. Sorry. So lowest common denominator, which it says something then about the US that they all voted for him. It's like, so
yeah,
where you're resonating as a society to
yeah,
vote for someone who's, let's say, calibrated 175, between
mm,
150 and 175, you have to be lower down the scale,
yeah.
right? On the same level or lower down the scale. So yeah, but then
Yeah, but this is what's so interesting, though, is that so many. I remember listening to Jordan Peterson. You know Jordan Peterson, the
yeah,
psychologist, yeah,
yeah.
and he was actually really in favor of what he called the dream team. Do you remember when Trump was, um, kind of during his election campaign? There
Mhm.
was Trump, there was Elon Musk, there was what's her name? The woman who was heading up the defense department. What was her name? She's a soldier.
Right.
No,
I,
no,
no, I don't really follow politics.
no.
But
Okay. Well, I did because
you do, yeah.
yeah. But it was so interesting. So and Jordan Peterson is actually someone I respect. He's incredibly intelligent, and and he was talking about this dream team that was going to sort of come in and
Sort
kind
things out.
sort
Yeah,
things out, and it all sounded wonderful at the start,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you had also the vice president, JD Vance as well, you know,
yeah.
yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh,
But you see, it's all the
incredibly,
grandiosity. It's the
yes,
grandiosity of
yeah,
the ego. It's like, oh,
yeah.
we're gonna do all these great things, and it's all like puff
Oh yeah,
ourselves up, and
Tulsi Gabbard was her name. That was the other one.
right, we're
Um,
gonna puff ourselves up, and we're gonna seem to be great. But if you
yeah,
really have insight, you penetrate beyond all that. You go, but actually, it's darkness. If people
yeah,
are not awakened, This is
mm,
all the this is all Luciferic. This is the light. This is the darkness seeming to be light.
mm,
And it convinces people. That's why they got voted in. It
yeah,
worked. Okay, well, on the level of form, it worked. But
yeah,
then now what? Now, where has that led you?
mm,
Now you're in this war with Iran, which you should never have gone into. Now you're trying to extract it. It's costing America billions a day, just increasing the budget deficit. I mean, like, surely there's better things to do with billions of dollars and pump it into us. I like just like stupidity.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, what? Like, you could be investing that in schools and hospitals and
Yeah.
upgrading. Like, you could be doing so much for that. Instead, you're wasting money on a war that you should never have gone into. Just insanity, stupidity. But the grandiosity masked all that, and people even, so Jordan Peterson isn't awakened. You could not, if you really, really awaken,
I don't know
you
what
would
his
see through that.
I don't know what his view is now, but this was at the very beginning, before Trump was elected.
Yeah.
Sort of. So
So remember, someone might be
but,
the Jordan Peterson on intellectual line of development is very smart, but maybe on another line isn't that smart.
Yeah.
Right? Because he'll be taken in by the grandiosity, by the power, by the pomp, by the illusion of someone like Trump and his team, and we've got the dream team, and all that bollocks. And anyone with who's really climbed up here into higher frequencies of reason, let's say, probably you need to be at a kind of reasoning level, at least, to see through that, to go, okay, you know what, this just doesn't wash. There's something wrong with that. Anyone reasoning or above is going to go, nah, this isn't authentic. But if you're not at that level, then you're going to get taken in, very, very possibly. You get sucked into that, into believing in the illusion, and it wouldn't be the first time. You think of Hitler, Nazi Germany, all seem to be great. This guy's, he's the savior. He's going to restore the pride of the fatherland, the Reich, blah blah blah, all that bollocks.
Yeah.
But actually, the guy's a megalomaniac. He's actually deeply disturbed. He's got all this hidden trauma because he was abused as a child, and now he's covering that over with this megalomaniac grandiosity, which can only go and attack. That's all it can do. Just, I've got to go now conquer the world to overcome all of my unresolved trauma. And so very, very, very dangerous psychological mix. And then, you mix that in with where the population of Germany was at the time in despair. It makes complete sense why he came to power, because he seemed to be much more powerful, and he gave them that illusion of power. Oh, we're going to become big and strong and powerful, and and everyone was like, great, this feels a lot better than despair. So yeah, I'll go there.
Yeah.
But it was false. It's luciferic, because it's false power that's going to lead you down the wrong road, and then of course you get even worse, because now you're in a war, and the entire world's against you, and again Germany's defeated, and there's despair again, because it's false power. Only true power, only grandeur is true power. That's the lesson of this. Only when you go above 200, you start going up into true power, which is the power of love, and you let go of the power of the ego, do you come into any kind of true power. Any other power is false, and it's going to lead you down the garden path and ultimately lead you to more pain and more despair, even if temporarily you seem to go higher. But we don't learn. You look at like a Trump, and well, just learn from Hitler. He did it, so why don't we learn? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just 80 years, 90 years later, and it's in a different form, and it's a different country, but it's the same mindset. It's the same energies at play. So why can't we have the insight to see? Because the ego doesn't want us to see. That's why.
Yeah.
It doesn't want people to awaken to the truth and have this level of insight, because then it can't control them anymore. And then leaders like this have no truck with you. Like, you're just like, you're an idiot. Sorry, I'm not even going to listen to you. You're just like, you have no power over me, no control. I'm not going to follow you. I'm not even going to hate you. Now, that was your lesson. I'm not, because that gives you a power. I'm not even going to despise you or hate you or resist you, because actually you're just pointless. It's just the most pointless, futile, useless thought system. So I'm not even going to give you the time, any time or space in my mind. That is the way to de-energize those people. If no one paid any attention to them and went, this is just like completely pointless, useless, you've got no power whatsoever, all of their power, all of that pomposity, which is like a balloon, just gone. Which is why, if you look at all these regimes through the ages, any regime based on the ego, pride, anger, desire, fear, always has to suppress people who are at a high frequency. Because those people, the intelligentsia of that society, who are able to reason and they have a discernment, they will prick the bubble and they go, no, this is BS. You are a liar, you're a fraud, and they will say it because so they always have to go, right, we've got to take them out first.
Yeah.
Because then that removes that intelligentsia element. And now we just got the masses who can't really see, and now we can control them. And so that's how they always work. And then you're like, well, yeah, it's so predictable. The ego is so predictable. Once you understand how it works, yeah, of course you're going to get that over and over and over, repeating patterns. Why do we keep getting the same patterns? Because the ego is very repetitive. It's just going to do the same thing over and over. That's all it can do. The only way out of that is what Yeshua's giving us. He's saying just let go of all of that, the entire thought system, which manifests in grandiosity at its peak, right? So this is grandiosity is the peak of the ego. This is the highest it can go.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you start going into spirit. Beyond that, you have the courage to really look at it and go, you know what, actually, like I'm just way too full of myself. I need to just actually let go of some of that and have a bit of humility and have the courage to face, all of this stuff. But people who stuck in pride won't do that. Donald Trump will probably never go. Like I'm just my head is way too inflated. Got way too full of my own self-importance. I need to be humbled a bit. I need humility and that would be a very different kind of leader then. Then you become like a servant type leader who is leading from power, not force. So John F. Kennedy argue. I think he was. He certainly had ego elements. He wasn't enlightened, that's for sure. But there was an inspiration there. There was a willingness. There was an optimism. Abraham Lincoln, is probably up here, acceptance, forgiveness, reason. He was very high. Donald Trump doesn't come close because he doesn't have that level of awareness. So of course he can't. He's just dealing in these lower levels. So I hope this is interesting, but I find it fascinating to go and you read the text and then you go look at the diagrams and the levels and you go, okay, start to get a better picture of how the world works. And why these things, these repetitive patterns of oppressive regimes and why can't humanity free itself from that? Well, because the ego is still dominant. That's why. If everyone awoke and everyone started going into these high frequencies, oppressive regimes end. No one's going to listen. No one's going to do what you want them to do. They're just going to rebel. You can only control people when they're in negative energy. As soon as they start to have courage and you can't control them anymore. And then the game is over for your system because they know that research shows 3% of a population who start to question a regime, any thought system, any regime, they'll overthrow it. Only 3%. It's not a lot. So you only 3% of people to say enough. And the system's broken. So they have to, the only way they're going to maintain the controls, they have to suppress and control. They have to keep it below 3% at all costs. Otherwise, they lose their control, which must be a very kind of fearful place to be in. But then that's the ego's domain. That's what it does. Those who have the power, seeming all power, these all powerful dictators and despots and tyrants, they actually live in fear. They're not powerful at all. They live in fear of, okay, I'm oppressing other people. Sooner or later, the tide is going to turn, which it usually does, and people are going to come and get me, which is usually what happens. You think of Hitler and Mussolini. Also, he was hung by his own people. Saddam Hussein came to a sticky end. It doesn't end well generally.
But then they induce the lower frequency vibrations in the population as well. That's the thing, isn't it? So they can maintain control and power. So
the whole system that they design is designed to keep people in lower frequency energy because they know that if they go higher than they are, then they're not going to be able to control them. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. So then all these oppressive regimes, it's all about dumbing people down, lowering the energy, keeping people in fear and despair, bit of desire. We'll give them a bit of hope. They always have to give you hope, but it's a false hope. You know,
Yeah.
like the Nazi Germany's hope was, okay, we're going to go and, Germany's going to become great again. And we're going to have Lebensraum and we're going to become this great nation. So yeah, desire in there, but it's false because it's not, it's got nothing to do with true empowerment. It's like, no, we're going to go and take other people's land and steal other people's land so that we can become great. This is not
Yeah.
oneness. This is just attack, really, anger and hatred and attack manifesting as greatness. So it's like, why can we not see through this stuff? Why does it happen over and over and again? Because the ego is a very, very pernicious, persistent virus. It's a thought system that is a virus in the human psyche that is very difficult to get rid of, extremely difficult to get rid of, which is why it's still around and it still dominates human psyche and dominates society. And it requires a very willing, disciplined mind to get rid of it. Which is, then if you have a willing, disciplined mind, you're going up these levels and you're spiritually awakening. But it's never been a mass pursuit ever in human history. I mean, maybe it could change. Maybe in this generation, it could become. Maybe millions of people could do it. I mean, there are millions of people starting to awaken, but the majority are still asleep. Let's face it.
Yeah.
The majority of people. I mean, just look at, like, why would you elect Donald Trump? You'd only do it if you're asleep and you can't see the truth of who the man is.
Yeah.
So, how many people voted for him? I don't know, 100 million, 200 million. I mean, that's 200 million asleep individuals. Even apparent intellectuals like Jordan Peterson probably voted for him. Like you're still asleep. You haven't woken up because you don't have the discernment to see the ego for what it is. Because you know why? If you see the ego for what it is, then you have to see what you are. That's the thing. You have to look at yourself and go, what, I really actually, if I really see Donald Trump for what he is, then I have to look at my own self and see my ego for what I am. And all of those characteristics I admire in him, that now I've gone, actually, I'm not so sure. I have to look at myself as well. The pride, the arrogance, people don't want to do it. So they just cover it over, just believe in him, believe in him, believe in him, because it keeps my ego intact. It keeps my ego intact. So I believe in him because it keeps me safe, keeps my ego intact, stops me awakening, and that's why people do it. It becomes their own defensive crutch against the Holy Spirit and against God. It's fascinating, isn't it? That this is what is directed the course of human history. These dynamics, and how they play out, directs individual lives, but on a collective level, it directs societies, directs the way history plays out, and then we go, well, why do we keep getting these patterns? Well, because these are the dynamics at play, and they keep repeating themselves. So you keep getting the same thing, and then we say, well, we're not learning. Well, no, we're not. We're not, because the ego can't learn. Because if it learns, then it's going to be undone, as he says here.
Yeah, I like that sentence that says about, kind of
delusional
there's no
attempt.
attempt to outdo, but not to undo. Yeah.
But not to undo. So all I can do is try and outdo people, but not undo the thought system that is really the problem. So I now want to be competitive. I want to win. I want to be best. I want to go to war, make America great. All that BS.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm really just perpetuating the problem of my ego. I'm not undoing the ego at all. I'm just reinforcing it.
Yeah.
So see why I love the text? Because in 2 paragraphs, look at what we've discussed. Look at the richness of you can really start going into the depths of the human psyche. You start getting understanding yourself, of human history, of the why the world is, just from 2 paragraphs of simple paragraphs of text. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We're interpreting it, and I've studied this a lot, and so you're getting all of that on your own. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't get that, but it's what it stimulates in you, and that's kind of the whole point. It's like the thinking that stimulates. It's like, okay, now I'm starting to have all this insight I didn't have before. I'm starting to see things that I didn't. And if you cross-pollinate it with other models, you layer on the map of consciousness, and you go, okay, so let's layer that on there and look at it through that framework. Suddenly, it all starts to make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my goodness, I'm really starting to understand on a deeper level, because it actually is quite simple. Once you obscure all of the BS and all of the defenses that the ego's put in place, you start to see very, very clearly what's actually going on. And then you can't be fooled anymore. And then you become dangerous. I thought about myself the other day. I said, I'm probably one of the most dangerous people alive to control systems, because once you understand the truth, you cannot be controlled anymore. No. And you will speak out and you will do things that undo those control systems. They know this. So they know, like, if someone becomes that powerful, it's very difficult to control them. So their solution is, well, just make sure you design a society and a system that deliberately suppresses people's awakening, which is exactly why we have the society we have. That is not like, you go, well, why is the world the way it is? Well, this is the reason. That's why it's designed to suppress people's awakening and to keep them in the prison of their egos, and to keep them asleep, doing various mindless things like scrolling or looking for quick fixes and seeking pleasure in substances and social media and porn and whatever else. It's designed that way because it stops people from waking up. And there are powerful interests at play in the world that want people to remain asleep, because that keeps them in power. So there you go. There you have an analysis of human history. So the insight that this course gives you, it's phenomenal. Like, I read it now. You can never really get tired of it, because I've read this section before, but have I had this discussion around this section before? No, I haven't. This is completely fresh and new, even though I've read this all before. Which is why it's the perennial philosophy, and you can never really get tired of it, because in a year's time we can have another session on this, and it would be a different conversation. And there'd be meaning and depth in that as well. It's never ending. All right, so I think we've kind of covered that. Get the idea. So it's not about competitiveness, it's about undoing the ego, and the ego just will always attack. I think that's really the key point. So if you're in the ego, at some point you're going to want to attack. It's because attack is its primary defense. So you shift from viciousness, from suspicion to viciousness. And I've seen this, like, my own life relationships. You see, someone, if you're dealing with someone in ego, that's the rage. Suspicious at best, vicious at worst. It's not pretty, is it? It's really, it's not an attractive thought system.
And again, very, very emotive words as well.
Suspicious. Because he has to use those emotive words to get us to realize what it is and what it does. If we thought it was all nice and it's acceptable, then you carry on. You're going to believe in it. He has to get it, just go, oh, this is really awful. It's terrible. In fact, and I've got to see it for what it is, and I've got to stop tolerating it in my mind. It's a poison. It's a cancer in my mind. It's got to go entirely. I can't keep a little bit of the poison and think that that's okay. But we have to. It's a journey to realize that. That doesn't happen overnight, because the poison is your own separate self. So you have to undo your own self in order to let go of the poison and the corruption in your thought system. It's quite a thing. Who I thought I was is actually toxic and poisonous, and I need to let go of that. But that's who I am. No, that's actually not who you are at all. It's just a toxic delusion of yourself, a toxic self-concept that is poisoning your life, that's poisoning the world. It's behind every bit of pain and suffering and misery and sickness and death and war and disease. Everything you see projected out there is just a projection of your own sick, separate self. People don't want to learn this, do they? Because it's like, whoa, okay. So then I have no choice then. If I really see the brutal truth of that, I have no choice but to let it go, because it becomes untenable. It's like, I cannot entertain such a toxic thought system anymore and know that I am then the cause of all of the pain and misery and suffering and sickness and death in the world. It's my thought system that's doing that. So I am responsible for that. Once you realize that, you have to change. There's no like I cannot live with myself anymore, knowing that I'm doing that and carry on doing that. If you try, you become some sick psychopath, and like a Hitler type, who because then you just have to cover over all the guilt, and you have to attack. The only way of dealing with that level of guilt is to then attack, and you become what you'd call the epitome of evil. But then you understand evil is just a total delusion. It's not really real. It doesn't have any real power. It's just someone who's completely delusional and is misusing their mind and their body completely. They're just in the wrong mindset, in the wrong thought system, and they just need to be awakened to the truth, not punished. Just need awakening. So it gives you a different perspective of evil. Evil is confusion. It's living backwards. It's living your life upside down, according to an upside down thought system. That's all. Okay, so let's carry on. So do you want to read original this time?
Yeah. So the ego does not understand the difference between grandeur and grandiosity because it sees no difference between miracle impulses and ego alien beliefs of its own.
The belief in separation and scarcity does not understand the difference between grandeur and grandiosity because it sees no difference between miracle impulses and beliefs of its own that seem to contradict separation and scarcity. So that's how I've translated ego alien beliefs, because belief in separation alien doesn't really work. But it also explains it, I think. That's what he means by ego alien. So you have apparently some parts of the ego contradict separation and scarcity. So the grandiosity, for instance, but that's abundance. But is it really abundance? Or is it false abundance? That's what we've got to really look at. It's an illusion of abundance, but if you really look at it carefully and scratch beneath the surface, then you see that underneath it is separation, scarcity, loss, lack, and it doesn't take very much to do that. And then that whole so-called abundance collapses into scarcity and separation. So again, look at what happened. Someone like Donald Trump, our favorite. I mean, he's a great teacher, really, because he's just teaching us what not to do. All this grandiose, pompous, arrogant pride, and so on. And then when someone attacks him and questions that, then what does he do? He gets angry. That happens all the time. And then he's got to go on the attack to defend himself. So there you go. Pride leads to a drop. Then the fall down is into anger and hatred, and then the result is, well, all he can do is attack personally, or now he's just done it on a collective scale, because he's got all these toys. Unfortunately, we give people like all these powerful toys, give him billions of dollars of weapons, and what is he going to go do? He's going to go misuse them, of course. Which is why we need to be a lot more discerning about who we put in leadership. Because it's like, well, you give people powerful toys and they don't know how to use them, they're going to abuse them. Duh. So don't elect them. But people don't see this. They don't see through that grandiose, pompous, all of that. That is the red flag of note. When someone starts doing that, you go, red flag, red flag. No, stop. Because they're a grandiose tyrant. They're an imposter. They're trying to cover over all of this stuff with all this grandiosity. And this has been done many times before. Nazi Germany being probably the worst case example. But if we don't learn from that, then when will we ever learn? Okay, that was like a primary lesson for the world. Look at what happens when you allow that thought system to go into overdrive. It wants to conquer the whole world. And eventually everyone has to man arms and fight against this megalomaniac little man who now has been given all this power by people when they shouldn't. They should have just gone, you're just ridiculous. Just go away. We're not going to listen to you. But they listened to him and they gave his ideas power. So the ego has no power except the power that we give it. This is the problem. This just sucks all the power out of it, because he's just saying, well, just see it for what it is. Burst the bubble, and it doesn't have any power over you anymore if you don't give it power. Okay, so did you read number one?
No, we're on, yes, I've read number one, we're on number two now. So I told you that the ego is aware of threat to its existence, but makes no distinctions between these two very different kinds of threat.
So Yeshua has told me that the belief in separation and scarcity is aware of threat to its existence, but makes no distinctions between these two very different kinds of threat.
What are the
So
two different kinds of threat?
The miracle impulses
Oh, miracle impulses and okay.
and the beliefs of its own that seem to contradict separation and scarcity. So it gets confused because the ego is very confused. Miracle impulses are impulses to love, to awaken. So that obviously threatens the ego's thought system. But the apparent threat to its thought system that grandiosity poses is a false kind of abundance. Oh, well, I can. You see this in the personal growth movement. Oh, I can do anything. Think I'm rich. I can manifest anything. But it's not very deep, is it? It's all a bit sort of superficial, and that is probably not going to see you through dark times. Because you're expecting things to go well. When things don't go well, you're going to go, well, now I'm going to sink back down into despair. And because actually it's just a cover for that despair. So you just go back to what you're covering over. Only true awareness is going to get you through those dark times because you go to the power of God and you go, okay, it doesn't matter what's going on outside me. I have that power within me that's invincible, that's invulnerable, that just never says die, that will carry on no matter what. It's eternal. So it doesn't matter what illusions of separation, scarcity are coming my way. I find that power. That's true power. But these ego alien beliefs, they may seem to threaten the ego, but they don't really. That's the thing. Grandiosity doesn't really threaten the ego, it perpetuates it. Even though it may seem to be abundance, it's not really abundance. It's just littleness covered over by an illusion of abundance. But you have to be quite discerning, don't you? Because it's very easy to get confused. Which is why I appreciate the text, because he's training us. He's saying, okay, so we need to look at this. This is an issue where there's a lot of confusion. So let's talk about it. And so now you read this, you know what the confusion is. You're not going to be confused again. You're going to go, oh, okay, I get it. I can see. And then the interesting thing is you start to see how this plays out in the world. And then you go, oh, I see what it means. I can see the grandiosity. I can see what people do. It gives me an insight that I didn't have before, which of course makes the people who you have the insight into very uncomfortable because you see through them. They don't like it at all. Who would? Oh, you can see exactly through me. Well, I'm not comfortable around you. If I can get away from you, or I can suppress you or kill you or destroy you, then my ego is going to do that because then it's going to keep itself safe. Although actually it's just going to make me feel more guilty because now I've done something unkind to my brother, and my soul knows that. But the ego just so the more you look at it, the more can you see just how completely deluded this thought system is. And that there's no way out. Once you're in it, there's no way out within its thought system. The only way out is to question the whole thought system. So a lot of teachers and teachings would say the way out is through the ego. You can find a way there. That's just grandiosity. That's just bollocks. It's illusion. It's going to lead you. It's going to lead you again back to a point of despair, which unfortunately happens quite a lot in the industry. People, their hopes get lifted. This is finally the way I've found it, and then it's not the way. I'm disappointed again. It hasn't worked. But in that disappointment lies the seed of the awakening. Because when you're really, truly disillusioned with the whole thought system of the ego, then you awaken. So sometimes you have to go to that point of complete disillusionment to then go, okay, I get it. I had to go there. It was like completely disillusioned with the whole thing. I'm like, I gave this my all. I believed all this. I read the books. I visualized 2-3 hours a day. I was like, I'm going to be world champion. I'm like, I should have been. Like, if it had worked, I should have been because I did what it said I should do. And I failed dismally. Complete disillusionment. Complete like, what the hell? But that's what I needed to then question the entire thought system and go, okay, well, maybe it's just wrong. Maybe it wasn't me that got it wrong. Maybe the thought system is wrong. And I was actually a very faithful disciple of it. But because the thought system didn't work, it didn't work. Okay, well, then it wasn't really me who failed. It was the thought system that failed me. And then, okay, there's a way out of that. I just let go of the thought system and then I'm free. Okay, that actually, that summarizes in a minute a long process of psychological growth and maturation. But that's what had to happen. I had to be completely disillusioned of all that grandiosity because I wanted to be a world champion, and this was the grandiose ego delusion. Yeah, this was going to make my life worthwhile. I was going to be important. I could show my dad that I was worthwhile, that I could do things, that I was better than him. There was a competitive element because he'd been a Springbok squash player, but he hadn't been world champion, so I was going to be better than all of that. And that was all going to give me a sense of worth and purpose. And I had to completely be disillusioned of that to go, okay, got to chuck that out because it just didn't work at quite a young age. So, I was very great. That was a really, really good lesson that I went so fully into it to really experience it, understand it experientially, and then you chuck it out. And you go, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. It was horrible. It didn't, it promised a lot initially. Oh yeah, I know, you're going to be this great squash player, and everyone's going to be like, oh, isn't Jono great, and he's the best squash player in the world, and then I can walk around the tournaments and everyone's going to look up to me. This was grandiosity. But of course, at that time, I didn't know there was grandiosity. I didn't have all this knowledge. I thought that was what I wanted. That was what was going to make my life worthwhile. It's only in hindsight now, looking back on it, now having studied all of this, I look back on it and go, yeah, I was completely delusional, but at least I was sincerely delusional. I really went for it. I went for it fully, right? So because I was fully into it, I then got this really difficult lesson, dark nights of the soul, and that made me then allowed me to go fully out of it and go, okay, there's nothing like the convert, the total zealot becomes the best convert. If you look at the example of Paul in the Bible, he was virulently against the Christians, to the point where he was attacking them, he was trying to kill them. I think he did put a few to death. But he became the greatest advocate once he converted, because he'd gone so fully into that then he went, oh, I can't do that anymore. It's so wrong because I've experienced it. But someone was sort of half on, wouldn't have had the same level of shift. So it's all perfect in its imperfection. I needed to do exactly what I needed to do to get that lesson, to then go, okay, now I'm ready to let go of the whole thought system at quite a young age, at 29. Very, very grateful. So squash served its, the grandiose delusion of being a champion squash player served me. It was helpful until it wasn't, until I had to let it go, And then you go, but it was all good. It was all perfect in its imperfection. It wasn't sinful. I wasn't guilty. It wasn't like, oh, you got it all wrong. It was part of a journey of awakening that I had to go through to get it.
Yeah.
So nothing was wrong. It was all perfect in its imperfection. And then you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven life, you've forgiven the world. It's all okay. And you can relax. It's fine. There's no resentment, there's no grievance. It's just okay. That's how it was supposed to be. So it was all perfect in its imperfection, and I've got no grievances, no resentment. It's all fine. And then you can relax and you can be at peace. But as long as you got grandiosity, you can never be at peace.
Yeah.
So it's a very sad existence, really, because you're always defending against the truth. You're grandiose, and that's why we see these oppressive regimes run by pompous, arrogant men, usually, who are trying to defend their grandiosity. Then they have to constantly defend against all these attacks on their grandiosity, to the point where you can't even look at their picture and these kinds of ridiculous things. And if you don't kneel and bow before a picture, then it's considered blasphemy, and it's just ridiculous nonsense that has gone on throughout human history. It's caused so much suffering. Just total delusion. All right. So go on to number 4. Happy. Ego is immobilized in the presence of.
Oh, we haven't.
Did we read?
Wait, I thought, are we done?
Did we finish 3? We got somewhere. No, I think actually we still had some more to do. Profound sense
Yeah.
of where were we?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
reading so its profound sense of vulnerability renders it incapable of judgment except in terms of attack.
its profound sense of vulnerability renders it incapable of judgment except in terms of attack. Yeah. So this is the kind of judgment that he's warning against, condemnatory judgment, attacking judgment.
Yeah.
I'm attacking you, I'm projecting my guilt onto you. You're the evil one, you're the bad one, and now you deserve to be attacked and killed. That's when he says, non-judgment.
Yeah.
But to see the delusion of the whole thought system is right-minded judgment. That's the Holy Spirit's judgment.
Yeah.
That helps you let it all go.
And when the
number 4.
Yeah, when the ego experiences threat, its only decision is whether to attack now or to withdraw to attack later.
When the belief in separation and scarcity experiences threat, its only decision is whether to attack now or to withdraw to attack later. Interesting dilemma.
Yeah.
Do I attack now or do I wait
Yeah.
and attack later?
Yeah.
Not on a great range of choice, is there?
No, still both attack. Just now.
Yes, exactly. Very limited.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what he's trying to teach us. You see why the text is valuable, because he's just teaching you the limitations of this thought system. And you're going, yeah, well, it's not a very awakened, expanded thought system. It's attack now, attack later. Great. That's a huge range of choice there. What about not attacking? Maybe that would be an idea.
Yeah. And then if you accept its offer of grandiosity, it will attack immediately.
I accept its offer of grandiosity, it will attack immediately. And then number 6.
If you do not, it will wait.
Yeah. So quite interesting when you notice, as I said, the grandiosity, the pride, then it's very, very close to attack. It's never very far away. People who grandiose attack is like, it doesn't take very much and they'll attack. If you don't accept the offer of grandiosity, but you still maintain the ego, then it's going to wait to attack. So then you become more of a kind of silent, passive victim. You nurture the grievance, etc. But the attack will come at some point. You might make a snide remark. It won't necessarily be as overt, but that attack is always there, because the ego's thought system is based on guilt, sin, fear, and attack. So it's inevitable. Again, just the insights in this are just some phenomenal. You're getting the psychological insights in this course are second to none. I don't know another mind training course which has this level of detail. Not Carl Jung, none of them, because what you're learning from here is a spiritual master who has transcended the ego's entire thought system. So he can look from above and go, okay, this is how it all works. But I've been in it. I know how it all works. I've figured it all out. And now I'll tell you from that higher perspective how this all works. And he gives us the map so clearly, so precisely, that it gives you this huge insight and discernment into the human psyche, human behavior, that is incredibly helpful. Just, if I think of my own insights and awakening from this course, I've just been like, where would I be without it? I don't quite know how I'd be. Well, I suppose you're just asleep, just living in the dream. That's how you are, unawakened. But compared with how I am now, the level of understanding, insight, ability to cope with the difficulties that life throws at you, hugely expanded, because you can now understand it. It doesn't have to upset you so much once you understand how the whole thought system works. You just go, okay, well, that's just what the ego does. I don't take it personally. It's just that's the logical outcome of a belief in separation and scarcity. Is you're going to get all these consequences. There's no other option. Okay, so number 4, ego is immobilized in the presence of God's grandeur, because his grandeur establishes your freedom.
The belief in separation and scarcity is immobilized in the presence of perfect love's grandeur, because its grandeur establishes my freedom.
Even the faintest hint of your reality literally drives the ego from your mind because you will give up all investment in it.
Even the faintest hint of your reality literally drives the belief in separation and scarcity from my mind because I will give up all investment in it.
Yeah. As soon as you start waking up and realizing the truth, like why would you want a separation and scarcity anymore?
Yeah.
You just go, I can't entertain it anymore. It becomes totally unpalatable. It's like, oh God, I can't believe I ever believed in that at some point. But a bit like, someone who's say given up cigarettes or alcohol and go, oh my God, I can't stand it anymore. It's horrible.
Yeah.
When once I enjoyed it, it's like complete distaste, which is what he's trying to train us to do. To say, I just have complete distaste for this thought system. I can't entertain it anymore.
Yeah.
Because then we'll willingly let it go. Grandeur is totally without illusions, and because it is real, it is compellingly convincing.
Grandeur is totally without illusions, and because it is real, it is compellingly convincing.
Yet the conviction of reality will not remain with you unless you do not allow the ego to attack it.
Yet the conviction of reality will not remain with me, unless I do not allow the belief in separation and scarcity to attack it.
So we must not allow, because this is the dynamic. The ego is always attacking our true reality. Notice that's with the capital R. Again, just to clarify, yet the conviction of reality, well, the reality he's referring to is not the reality of this world. So it needs to be capitalized.
Yeah.
Will not remain with me unless I do not allow the belief in separation and scarcity to attack it. So you could change this around. Sometimes I do this. Yet the conviction of reality will only remain with me
if I do not.
When I do not allow the belief in separation, scarcity to attack it. I think that's better because it's not in the double negative, it's positive.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes the sentences get convoluted. You see, you did a double negative there.
Yeah.
Yet the conviction of reality will not remain with you unless you do not allow. We'll just say, yet the conviction of reality will only remain with me when I do. When I do not allow the ego to attack it. This is simpler, right? So because that kind of double negative confuses people. They're like, okay, so what is he saying here? Because it's not normal kind of sentence structure, not normal way language is used. I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to make us really think about it. And like okay, let go into the words and really think about what he's saying. That is one of the methodologies of the text. But unfortunately, that can also turn people off. They go, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm tuning out. I'm tired. Oh God, I just put the and the text isn't for me.
That has happened to me on occasion.
And the text is not for me. But think of the like we're discussing this. I mean, it's really fascinating. It's so engaging. It's so interesting. If you approach it right, it's a really deep psychological insight, really understanding how the mind works, how human history works. It gives you like so much insight into everything. It's phenomenal. Anyway, let's carry on. So, grandeur is where are we?
Yeah, so we've done that one.
Yeah. Number 5.
Number 5, yeah. So the ego will make every effort to recover and mobilize its energies against your release.
Yeah, I think you just switched it again, but it doesn't matter. You were reading the alternative just now.
Oh, was I? Oh, sorry.
You were, yeah. Okay, you can mix and match. I don't mind. Whatever you want to read. In fact, you read the original because I got to translate the alternative. There's some fixing to do, so it's easy if I read it. Yeah. So the
ego will make every effort to recover and mobilize its energies against your release.
The belief in separation, scarcity will make every effort to recover and mobilize its energies against my release. So it's just telling it like it is. Yeah, this is what it's going to do. It's going to resist it. Every effort, huge effort to maintain its thought system. But if you didn't tell us that, then we'd go, oh well, the ego is just a piece of cake. You can just easily get rid of it. Well, that would be a lie. It's like, okay, no, this is who you believe you are. So you don't just easily get rid of that. This is a major aspect of mine. In fact, it's a phenomenal accomplishment. You thought you were that. Now you got to let go of what you thought you were completely, and become formless awareness, which doesn't even really have any separate identity, which you thought you were. I mean, it's completely opposite and backwards of everything that you thought you were. So it is the hardest thing. It's the most difficult accomplishment for any human being, because you actually have to destroy yourself. What you thought of as yourself, which then feels like insanity. The ego's like, what are you doing? This is, Jesus is, you remember that saying, Jesus is going to kill you, Jono. Yes, exactly. It is. The ego is starting to realize what is going on here, and it's getting very nervous. It's like, this stuff's going to actually kill you. And then, of course, the Holy Spirit just smiles and goes, yeah, well, what did you think? Did you think you were going to become enlightened with the ego? I mean, come on. Like, the theory. You can't become enlightened with the ego. That's so the teachings. So yeah, it's got to die. And this is the process of its death, but it's not comfortable at all. Because it feels like death. It feels like part of you is dying, and part of you doesn't want to die. But a part of you has to die in order for you to be reborn into your true self. That's how it works. There's no getting, again, you can't fudge it. You know what I mean? There's no getting away from that. It is what it is. That's how it is. You can't have a little bit of ego and also be born into your true self. It doesn't work. It's one or the other.
And it's actually quite emotional as well, because I've noticed, like, my mood sometimes, and I can't put it down to anything specific, but and I just think, gosh, is it all this, kind of realization that's just making me feel a little bit
Definitely. Again, and that recording will still be there when I switch it back on, but I'm recording it on Zoom as well, so I've got the whole thing, and it's on YouTube, so it's not lost. It's just somebody's not going to be on Telegram. So can you see why the text is really helpful? I mean, if you do it at this level, like we're doing it, like you can learn a hell of a lot from one section of the text.
Yes.
You really get an insight into the whole. It's kind of holographic. So you take grandeur versus grandiosity, but it gives you a perspective and a point of entry into the entire thought system of the ego and of the Holy Spirit. And then you start, and this is what he does repeatedly in the text. So you start to understand it from all these different angles that he's giving you. And then you start going, but it's actually all the same, whichever angle I look at it from. It's the same truth and it's the same illusion. He goes, the same illusion, whichever angle, top, underneath, back, whichever facet I look at, it's all the same. And I'm starting to connect all those dots. And then I need to connect the dots of the alternative Holy Spirit thought system and go, yeah, it's all the same. It's the same diamond, just looked at from different facets. And I just need to see that it's all actually one thing. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. But this is the mind training. When we start, we don't know all this. We don't see all the different facets. So he's got to take us through this quite laborious process. I mean, it's a long read and all the text. But if you persevere with it, this is the foundation for much deeper application. People who read the text can apply the workbook on a much deeper level than people who just read the workbook. That's what I've noticed. They get it on a deeper level, because this is the theory that then is applied in the workbook. But if you really deeply understand the theory, then it's much easier to just go, okay, I get it, because I've covered this in the text, and I'm not resisting as much anymore. I'm accepting the simple non-dual truth that he's teaching me. But A lot of people don't want to go there, so then they'll do the text, they'll do the workbook, but they avoid the text, which isn't really doing the course properly. To do the course, you need to do the workbook and the text. Those are the two primary components, and then the other the FAQs, the manual for teachers, is really useful. It's not absolutely essential, but it's like the FAQs. If you've got questions about other things, it's really useful to answer things like reincarnation and psychic powers and that kind of stuff, which do come in. But the core teaching, you're only really going to understand that if you've read the text and you've done the workbook. And ideally, you do them concurrently. So you start to see, as your understanding of the text increases, you start to see how that applies in the workbook lessons and how it carries through and how that helps you change your mind. Most importantly, that you're actually changing your mind, you're changing your perception, you're doing that daily. That's where the rubber meets the road. It's not just a theory exercise. Too many people, again, you could misuse the text, just read the text, and it's all theory, and I don't apply it. Like Alan Watts, that's not going to help you very much either. You have to actually apply it in your daily life. Okay, where were we? Number 6. Yeah, it will tell you that you're insane.
Yeah, so it will tell you that you are insane and argue that grandeur cannot be a real part of you because of the littleness in which it believes.
It will tell you that you are insane and argue that grandeur cannot be a real part of you because of the littleness in which it believes.
Yet your grandeur is not delusional because you did not make it.
Yet my grandeur, I need to change that to my, don't I? Tell me. I've done this through AI. Once I 3 years ago in ChatGPT, I just get it to do all of the all of the translation, the personalization, everything. It's brilliant. I'm like, God, this saved me so much time because I don't have to put in the me's and the my's and the. Before that, it was very slow and laborious. It will tell me that me are insane. It will tell me that I am insane. And argue that grandeur cannot be a real part of me because of the littleness in which it believes. Yeah. So the ego is never going to tell you that you the Christ, that you're awakened, that you're enlightened, that you're this all powerful being. It's never going to tell you that, is it? And it's going to focus on the littleness or the grandiosity as a cover for that. So now I need to become great, like a champion squash player, to cover over the littleness that I feel inside. Which is a common strategy as well. But actually, that person is still feeling little inside, and all their actions are motivated ultimately by the littleness. But you see through that, then you start noticing, because littleness always has its effect. You can't disguise it. And then that's why we see people like, say, Donald Trump again, littleness, but seeking to manifest itself as grandiosity, but it's actually still little. And then that's why it's problematic. There's no grandeur. There's no greatness. When you say someone is great, they have a grandeur. They believe in grandeur. They believe in the spirit, and they have a deeper thought system and value system, and they act on that integrity to that. And they do that consistently over time. Then you say, okay, they've achieved greatness, often in the face of very difficult situations that tested them. That's greatness, just the ability to hold to this thought system of grandeur in often the most limiting circumstances. That's the test. So you're in prison, you're in a concentration camp like Viktor Frankl, in prison like Mandela and Gandhi, and they all went to prison. Then how do you believe in the grandeur that's beyond those limiting circumstances? That has to be a spiritual realization. It has to come from something deeper in you. Okay. So where are we? Number 7.
Yeah. Yet your grandeur is not delusional because you did not make it.
Yet my grandeur is not delusional because I did not make it.
You made grandiosity and are afraid of it because it is a form of attack, but your grandeur is of God, who created it out of his love.
So, yet you made grandiosity. I'm afraid of it. I made grandiosity and am afraid of it because it is a form of attack. But my grandeur comes from pure formless oneness, the perfect love of abundance, which extends it out of its love. Extends it out, extends it from, maybe. Extends it from its, extends it grandeur. So then the interesting thing is, should you capitalize grandeur? How often I have these like debates. I'm like, should we capitalize that? Because it's pointing to something that is on the same level, right? The grandeur, except grandeur.
But it's not used anywhere else, is it, in a different context? So I don't think you need to capitalize it.
But it does it make it clearer or not, is the question. If I capitalize grandeur, does that make the message clearer or not?
I would
my
say,
grandeur
no,
is not delusional because I did not make it. I made grandiosity small, but grandeur is capital G because it's on the same level as pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance, which extends it from its love, right? So then that it then becomes capitalized. But then you got to just be consistent across the.
That's what I was thinking.
Across the whole course, yeah. Well, he doesn't use grandeur too often. It's this. It's this. It's this section and so a few others. But as the thing is, as I've done this over the years, I just change it. So when we get to that section the next year, you go, okay, we'll just review it and change it. So I don't has he used it up to this point? Grandeur to the start of a sentence, grandiosity. No, so I think it's only there because it's the start of the sentence otherwise. But you see, then the capital G puts it all on the same level, which makes it simple. Grandeur, okay, and then pure formless awareness, capital, all capitalized, same level. It's just another name for the same thing. So I call it grandeur, I call it pure formless awareness, or I call it perfect love, I call it abundance. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, different terms can be helpful in different contexts. So if you're thinking of
what about in 6 then? So that you've got grandeur then there as well. So
right,
after
well
argue,
spotted. Yeah. So that needs to be. But the easy way to do is you just do a global replace. You say, well, it's not so because you can't replace the originals, but you have to go and just go through the alternative and do it, or just do it manually, like we're doing it, which is the painstaking way. But that's how a lot of it was. That's how this started. I mean, when I started teaching this, we'd look at it and then I'd have it in Word and I'd be like, okay, well, and then I just speak it. And then I'm like, well, why don't I write it down? Because now there's a whole translation, but I'm just speaking it. So it's kind of lost. And then that's how the whole project started. I didn't intend to translate the course when I started. I probably wouldn't have done it. You got to be kidding me. That's so much work. But it's all been perfect, because that's how the program works. It's just little bite-sized chunks, so you can deal with it. If I had to do this all at once, I mean, it's just days and days and weeks of. But if you just chunk it down, you do a little bit every day, and then it's fun. So that's how I've got it done, and it's actually quite enjoyable. It's like, yeah, okay, spending a couple of hours reading the text is really actually very enjoyable. It's an enjoyable way to spend an evening. And then I sound like a horrible course nerd, but it is. It's fascinating to like really go into it and look at these ideas and discuss them, and I just find it fascinating rather than like numbing out on TV or something. I mean, like, and what this is doing for your brain, neuroplasticity, all of that
Mm.
is huge.
Mm.
People get dementia and stuff because they're just not exercising the brain enough and stretching it.
Yeah.
This is going to stretch your mind. This
Yeah.
is like, you
Yeah.
can actually feel it. And you sometimes feel it's like, oh, there's like neurons are changing. There's stuff going on in my brain here
Mm.
because that's exactly what is happening. Neurons are being rearranged and different neural pathways are being formed. And it's all changing, and it can feel like a bit like, oh my goodness, I got a headache.
Mm.
Well, because there's a lot of that going on. But as you do that, and you strengthen those new neural pathways. Now those start to fire consistently. That's when the stuff gets locked in to your nervous system. You start to be able to just do it by default,
Yeah.
which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we done number 8? I made grandiosity.
Yeah. We've done that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So happy to move on. How are we doing on time? 9:27.
Half an hour if we want to finish at 9.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just get back to my recording because my phone died. Apologies, it's been out updating. What's happening now? Chat. There we go. Updating. Okay. So that's that. So we missed a little bit, 10 minutes or so. All right. So maybe we do 2 or 3 more paragraphs.
Yeah.
From your grandeur, you can only bless because your grandeur is your abundance.
From my grandeur with a capital G, if you want to do that, I can only
Maybe an
bless
alternative.
because my grandeur is my abundance.
Hmm. I mean, you see, if you capitalize abundance, you kind of have to capitalize grandeur. See where it leads you, because it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's capitalized, but
Yeah.
grandeur is small. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So it's just about being consistent, so that people recognize, like, okay, yes, this is on this level, it's coming
Mm.
from that same level. This is why it's capitalized. By blessing, you hold it in your mind, protecting it from illusions, and keeping yourself in the mind of God.
By blessing, I hold it in my mind, protecting it from illusions, keeping myself in the mind of perfect love or abundance.
Yeah, and then notice myself became my, and I split it into my
Mm.
capital self.
Yeah.
A little tweak, but you're keeping yourself in the mind of perfect love or abundance because that's where yourself, your
Yeah.
true self, abides. Oh, it's just died again. Yeah, I'm doing too well. Oh well. Remember, uh, remember always that you cannot be anywhere except in the mind of God.
I should always remember that I cannot be anywhere except in the mind of perfect love or abundance.
When you forget this, you will despair and you will attack.
When I forget this, I will despair and I will attack.
I will despair. Let me make that shorter. I will despair and I will attack, or I will despair and attack.
When I forget this, I will despair and attack. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Short term.
Yeah.
He does quite a lot of that repetition. I guess it does emphasize I will despair and I will attack. There's a
Okay,
kind
no,
of
put the will
that's
in there actually. Yeah, I will despair and I will attack. Yeah.
I think that's actually an example of iambic pentameter, to be honest.
Mm.
Because it's got a rhythm to it, hasn't it? I will
Yeah.
despair and attack, loses the rhythm, but I will
Yeah.
despair and I
And
will attack. Da-da,
yeah.
da-da, da-da, da-da.
Yeah.
That's the iambic pentameter, which creates a kind of rhythm
Mm.
in the text. So fairly straightforward paragraph. I am always where I am. If I forget this, then I'm going to despair
Mm.
and I'm going to attack in grandiosity to cover that over.
Mm.
So anyone who's attacking is actually despairing. It's a very good insight
Yeah.
because you think, oh, this person's terrible and they're so abusive and they're so unkind, but actually internally they despair. There's despair. And the attack is a cover for that. So that's why Yeshua says, remember, everything is either love or it's a cry for love.
Yeah.
That attack is a cry for love. There's a desperate person in there despairing, and they're actually wanting love, but they're attacking because that's all they know how to do. So you, as a miracle worker, have to interpret that correctly and go, okay, I see what's really going on, and actually it's just all just a cry for love. So love is the only response. It's not always easy to do, though, when someone is attacking you. It's very difficult because your natural reaction is, okay, well, just either I'm going to attack back. That's the worst response the ego has, or okay, well, screw you. I'm just I'm going to go away. I'm going to separate from it. But that's not love. Now, I mean, it's a tricky one because if someone is really abusive and really toxic, then maybe you have to for your own sanity. Even though it is a cry for love, the person is so disconnected from love that it's very difficult to break through. They need maybe some serious psychological help and so on, and that's often, if you're in a toxic special relationship, that's beyond you to give. You're not the right person to do that. They need to go get professional help and someone who's independent and objective, and so on. So it requires some discernment. It requires some interpretation of this, because the classic ego thing is, oh well, so then I'm just a doormat. I'm just be abused. I'm just gonna let someone just unconditionally love, and this person's like walking all over me and abusing me. And no, that's not what it's saying. It's saying you forgive and you love, but then you do what you're called to do. Maybe that means you have to leave the person and be on your own for a while and get out of the codependent, toxic, abusive relationship. That might be the best thing, but it's situation specific. You can't really say, because every situation is different, and the dynamics between people are different, and people at different levels of awakening as well. So, for Yeshua, being crucified was exactly what he needed to do. For someone else, that wouldn't really have been very helpful. That's all. For their awakening. It just depends where you are. Okay, so number 6 then. Do you want to read the original or the alternative? To you.
I'll carry on with the original. So ego depends solely on your willingness to tolerate it.
The belief in separation and scarcity depends solely on my willingness to tolerate it. Quite profound.
Yeah.
I have to be willing to tolerate it in order to allow it to continue.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to do here is teach us not to tolerate it anymore. Zero tolerance for the ego. That's how you're going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Eventually, initially it's like baby steps, but eventually it's like, okay, there has to be a zero willingness to tolerate ego, which means your mind is completely in alignment with God, which means you 100% self-disciplined, which is awakened. And it's quite an accomplishment. I mean, it's a phenomenal achievement, but he's saying that that's where we're going. That's what's doable. That's what you have to go for. You can't accept a lower standard, because the lower standard is going to keep you trapped in the ego.
Yeah.
Isn't what you want. You want complete freedom from all of that limitation and lack and scarcity that it symbolizes.
If you are willing to look upon your grandeur, you cannot despair, and therefore you cannot want the ego.
If I'm willing to look upon my grandeur.
Do you want to put a capital G on that?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. But can you see how they may well have missed this in the original? Because I don't think they did it in little bite-sized chunks. I think they were like, okay, we're doing this, and we're doing like a section a day or something. This was how they did it. So you imagine like they're zoning out, and it's like, okay, just okay. So we didn't capitalize spirit in the last time, so let's just leave it. Let's just leave it as small, because then we're going to go back and got to be consistent. So you can see how that error would have crept in. But thanks for pointing that out. So if I'm wanting to look upon my grandeur, I cannot despair. And therefore,
I
some
can.
commas in there.
Yeah. Cannot
I
want.
cannot want the belief in separation and scarcity.
Mm. Your
So you see what he's
grandeur.
trying to do? He's trying to educate us out of this whole belief. He's trying to convince us this is a really, really bad idea to believe in this.
Yeah, yeah. Your grandeur is God's answer to the ego because it is true.
My grandeur, capital G, is perfect love's answer to the belief in separation and scarcity because it is true.
Mm.
Okay, next one.
Littleness and grandeur cannot coexist, nor is it possible for them to alternate.
Yeah, littleness and grandiosity can and must alternate. Sorry, littleness and grandeur. Littleness and grandeur cannot coexist, nor is it possible for them to alternate.
Mm. Do you need a capital G there?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Littleness and grandiosity can and must alternate since both are untrue and are therefore on the same level.
Yeah. Littleness and grandiosity can and must alternate since both are untrue and are therefore on the same level,
Mm.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Shift from one illusion to another, but they're still illusions. And you do see that.
Mm.
Like grandiosity, say Donald Trump being the epitome of that, but then he alternates with littleness. And you go, it's like this little small-minded,
Mm.
individual who's attacking and his pride is wounded and he's holding grievances, and this is all very
Mm.
little and
Yeah.
very actually, you're a victim.
Yeah.
Underneath all the grandiosity is this, strong victim identity. Oh, I'm being attacked again, and now
Mm.
I'm going to throw my toys
Mm.
because I'm being attacked again. But Donald, you keep attacking people, so what do you expect
Yeah.
is going to happen? If you keep attacking, you're going to be attacked. Duh, because
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Mm.
But instead, the ego just blames everyone else and says, no, it's not me, it's everyone else. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just the victim, that's the littleness. I'm
Mm.
the victim of this cruel, all these people out to get me and attack me. But now I'll alternate between that and grandiosity because the littleness feels a bit too little sometimes. So now I'll go on this, grandiose mission of trying to conquer the world or something, or invade a country, because that makes me feel a little bit better about my littleness.
Mm.
And this is the psychology behind wars and stuff. This is
Mm.
why we go to war. It's
Yeah.
bizarre. So
Yeah.
all these billions of dollars and all these lives lost and mass destruction
Mm.
because someone can't manage their ego.
Yeah.
Because they're actually feeling little inside, and then they have to counter that with grandiosity and
Yeah.
go and attack.
Yeah.
But that's how it works.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, but
I know.
that's the human condition in history.
Mm.
Uh, okay,
Yeah.
number six,
Oh,
being
yeah.
the level of shift.
I've read that internally, but I don't really get it. So, being the level of shift, it is experienced as shifting, and extremes are its essential characteristic. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
not. I don't understand that.
Okay,
So,
well, let's unpack it. So
yeah. So, being the level.
it's talking about, remember, he's talking in context about the previous sentence. So littleness and grandiosity can and must
Yeah.
alternate. So there's a vacillation between them.
Yes.
You vacillate between littleness and grandiosity. That's understandable, right? You
Yes.
get that.
Yeah.
You see that quite clearly. So being the level of shift, right? So this is the level of illusion. Remember, truth doesn't shift. Truth doesn't
Mm.
change.
Yeah.
So the level of shift is the level of illusion.
Okay.
Uh, the impermanent, shifting, changing sands of time. It is experienced as shifting, and extremes are its essential characteristic. So we now experience the shift between littleness and grandiosity, and that can be quite extreme. So I could go from being, um, uh, you know, uh, thinking that I'm a victim, And apparently, actually, Hitler was into S&M, so he liked to be dominated. But that explains it, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to shift between littleness, so that's the okay, so some dominatrix dominating him, doing all that, to the extreme of the grandiose. Now I'm the Uberführer who's going to go and conquer the world, and I'm the most powerful man in the world. It makes sense, right? When you understand this, that he would be doing that, because and he was extreme in his megalomania, so it would make sense that he would have the flip side. The extreme littleness would have been, okay, I want to actually be dominated by sexually by someone else, which was his what was her name, Eva Braun. So, but it makes then, once you understand the psychology of this, it makes sense why someone would do that, because it is actually on the same level. That's what he's saying. So does that make sense now? That, let's say, that example of Hitler, because it's a good example, is how this is experienced as extremes, level of shifting, and extremes are its essential characteristic. And he wasn't particularly sane. You go from extreme like passion and violence and anger, and then apparently after his great diatribes, he would just collapse, just be like just like completely spent, because it was almost like something possessed him and used him. And it was like, right, I'll just drop you, and I don't need you. And then he's just like weak and has to go and sleep. And whereas Grandeur doesn't do that. Grandeur is consistent because it's coming from the same source that doesn't change, it doesn't vary. So much more consistent, much more stable, energy system, psychology. It's someone who's integrated. Carl Jung called it someone who's integrated their shadow. They've individuated. So they're consistent, they're stable, they're integrous, because the truth runs through their entire thought system, and they don't vacillate anymore, because they realize that vacillations are just delusions. You're just going back into a delusional thought system. So why would you want to do that? Okay, so does that explain it? So often the examples help. If I give a practical example of, like, say Hitler, that just came to me because I've read some of his story, but there is an extreme example, right? He was extreme grandiosity, but also then the extreme littleness of wanting to be, sexually dominated. Well, why would you want to do that if you're the greatest Uberführer in the world? It doesn't make sense logically until you understand how the psyche works. And then it does make sense, and you're like, okay, you see how the delusion works, which is, so this is really a masterclass in psychology as well. This is a great psychological teaching that goes, in my view, it goes beyond any of the other psychological models, any other psychotherapeutic model. So that would include Carl Jung and Viktor Frankl and the like. I mean, they did some great work, make no mistake, but this is far more comprehensive. This goes into much greater depth and detail, because it would do. This is a man who's transcended the entire illusion. He's awoken from the entire dream. They were still trying to awaken. Carl Jung was in his own process of awakening while he was formulating his theories. And I'm not sure if he ever did fully awaken. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We don't know. He claimed to, but we don't know for sure. Whereas I think we can pretty categorically say that Yeshua did awaken. I think that was pretty clear from what he did. It's like you don't resurrect unless you're on the highest level possible. And just the fact that he was willing to go through the crucifixion was just like, okay, that's on another level of integrity, really, to the truth. All right. So speaking of that, truth and littleness are denials of each other, because grandeur is truth.
Truth and littleness are denials of each other, because grandeur is truth.
Capital G. Truth does not vacillate. It is always true.
Truth does not vacillate. It is always true.
I'm going to put a because there. It kind of links it, makes it a bit more fluid. because it is always true. That's why it doesn't vacillate, logical. Okay, when grandeur slips away from you, you have replaced it with something you have made.
When grandeur slips away from me, I have replaced it with something I have made.
Perhaps it is the belief in littleness. Perhaps it is the belief in grandiosity.
Perhaps it is the belief in littleness. Perhaps it is the belief in grandiosity.
Yet it must be insane because it is not true.
Yet it must be insane because it is not true.
So you see, that is the only judgment of the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
The Holy Spirit doesn't condemn it and go, you evil, you deserve to be punished. It just says, it's just insane. It's not true.
Yes, it's not true. Yeah.
So I don't condemn it because it's not true. So why would I condemn what's not true? I just got to recognize that it's untrue and
Yeah.
needs to be let go of and dismissed as entirely untrue, invalid, non-existent. And if I do that, then it has no power over me anymore.
Mm.
So your grandeur will never deceive you, but your illusions always will.
My grandeur will never deceive me, but my illusions always will.
Illusions are deceptions.
Illusions are deceptions.
Yeah, very important, very simple, but every illusion is by definition a deception. That's why it's illusory.
Yeah.
You cannot triumph, but you are exalted.
I cannot triumph, but I am magnificent.
Just change it. Exalted is quite old-fashioned,
Yeah.
so I changed it to magnificent. And in your exalted state, you seek others like you and rejoice with them.
And in my magnificent state, I perceive others as being like me and rejoice with them.
Yeah, no, in capitalized state, because we're talking about higher state, grandeur, truth, all on the same level. And magnificence are capitalized as well. I don't think it happens in this section, but it does in others. So that also becomes capital. Because anything that is talking about that level of awareness
Yeah.
should then logically be capitalized,
Yeah.
right? Because it's all just different terms for the same level of
Yeah.
awareness, which is beyond this world. So to denote that logically, you should capitalize everything that
Then do you
points
want to capitalize the M in magnificent in 8?
to, but I am magnificent. Is that an adjective or is that a noun? I am magnificent is an adjective, isn't it?
It is.
Magnificence is the noun. So I'd
Okay.
capitalize magnificence,
Okay, but
but
not
not
magnificent.
magnificent because it's the
Okay.
adjective
Yeah.
of the noun. Yeah. So I have to get quite okay. Look at the
Then why don't you
grammar.
change magnificent state to magnificence then? And then
Yeah.
in my
Yeah,
magnificent,
actually, that could work.
yeah,
In my magnificent state, in my magnificence, which
yeah,
then is
I perceive
capitalized.
others as being like me and rejoice with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So magnificence equals grandeur equals truth equals pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so that's what we're trying to go. It's all just different names for the same awareness, really. But it has these different qualities. So when you say
I just had a,
magnificence,
yeah.
you might feel something different from if you say pure formless awareness, for instance,
Hmm.
which is why the language is
Yeah,
useful.
I just had another thought for 8, though, that you could say that I cannot triumph except in my magnificence or something like that. I don't know for that.
Yeah, I cannot triumph.
Except in my magnificence.
Hmm. Yeah, you cannot triumph, but you are exalted. Hmm. So
So
in triumph, he's talking about the competitiveness of the ego.
yeah,
I cannot triumph, but you are exalted. I cannot try. No, I think let's leave it as it is.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
am magnificent. It's kind of like a fine art this because you want to clarify, but you don't want to change the essential meaning.
yes, yeah,
That's kind of always what I've. Sometimes I do because I think it needs to be changed, but that's a rare exception.
yeah,
Usually it's just like, I just want to clarify what he said and express it clearer, better,
mm,
etc. But then if you change that, then you've changed the meaning.
yeah,
So I
yeah. No,
try
you're
not to
right.
do that.
Yeah, because
I
yeah,
try not to do that when as much as possible. So it remains a true translation, I haven't changed the meaning unnecessarily. I've just clarified it. The words are a clarification or an alternative way of viewing the same thing. Exalted, magnificence, it's a synonym. You're saying the same thing. It's just an exalted state is magnificence, which I quite like. So yeah, fine.
Yeah.
But it's an art, isn't it? Like I've spent a lot of time on this. It's like going and say, what's acceptable, what's not, what works, what doesn't. But the value of this is unique. No one else has done this. This doesn't exist anywhere else, as far as I'm aware. No one has done this process and gone through it in this level of depth and detail. And then also, now we've recorded this session, someone can go, okay, I'm studying this. I can listen to this entire session and get a whole deep insight onto the session that I would never have got.
Yeah.
And as the program goes and goes through the years, it'll just get more and deeper because there'll be more and more sessions, more and more insight. And so I'm trying to fill in the gaps. That's why I suggest we do this. So I don't have a recording on this one because it's as you know, there's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so I perceive others being like me and rejoice with them. So any thoughts on number 7? Then maybe let's do number 8 and call it quits, shall we?
Yes, that would be great, actually.
There's only 11.
How many more are there? Yeah.
There's 11, I think. Yeah. So if we speed up, we might be able to finish in about half an hour.
Yeah.
But we'll actually quick enough.
Let's do that then, because it would be nice to complete it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If we can speed through, then that would be good.
Okay. So we've done number 7. Okay. So number 8. Maybe just read the alternative then. All that's going to change here is God becomes pure form, remembrance of perfect love or abundance. In number 5, the rest is pretty much the same.
Okay.
So just read that.
Yep, it is easy to distinguish grandeur from grandiosity because love is returned and pride is not. Pride will not produce corrections and will therefore deprive me of the true witnesses to my reality. Truth is not obscure nor hidden, but its obviousness to me lies in the joy I bring to its witnesses who show it to me. They attest to my grandeur, but they cannot attest to pride because pride is not shared. Pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance wants me to behold what it created because it is its joy.
Yeah, so that would have been God wants you to behold what he created because it is his joy. Wants me to behold, it's also quite old-fashioned, wants me to be aware of. Wants me to become aware of. So created, I don't like that word because it implies a past tense when there isn't really one. In eternity, there's no past, future. So it's only ever extending in the present, extends. Wants me to become aware of what it extends because it is its joy.
Yeah. So you've replaced pride with joy in that? No, sorry. But where was joy in the original though?
Joy's back there. Joy I bring to its witnesses. Show it to me.
Sorry, yes.
They attest to my
they attest to your grandeur, but they cannot attest
grandeur. Or witness to. Witness, attest to. What do you prefer? They witness to my grandeur as opposed to attest to. I think witness to. It's more contemporary. Attest is very old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But they cannot attest to pride. Witness. Pride because pride isn't shared. Is not shared.
Yeah. And what is it? See, because so 3. So truth is not obscure nor hidden. Yeah, get that. But its obviousness to me lies in the joy I bring to its witnesses who show it to me. So what are the who or what are the witnesses though? Because it's witnesses who show it to me. So
so the witnesses can be everything in the world.
okay.
If I'm grateful for my life, if I'm grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for nature. I'm
Okay.
grateful
Yes.
for
Okay.
things that,
So that's
you see,
yeah.
I bring my joy, lies in the joy I bring to its witnesses who
Okay. So
show it
anyone
to
who
me.
witnesses that joy. Yeah.
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 So when I see the
Yeah.
joy in them, then
Yeah.
I'm feeling it in myself. So
Yes.
like if I notice something and I'm really grateful for it, then there's a feeling in me of joy, gratitude, expansion. That's what he means. So
Yeah.
as I perceive, then that state is what I experience. Right.
Mm.
Obvious to me lies in the joy I bring to its witnesses who show it to me. So I extend my joy into the things that I perceive.
Yeah.
And that is correct perception.
Yeah.
Now, it's not outside in, it's inside out. I have
Yeah.
my joy and I
Yeah.
extend it in my perception into everything I perceive. Outside in is I need the outside to give me joy.
Yeah.
I need something to change to give me the joy that I want. And maybe sometimes that'll work, but then when I don't have what I want, then I don't feel joy. And then I
Mm.
think I need to do whatever I need to do to get that joy again. Maybe that's going into nature, which is quite a nice thing to do. But if it becomes an attachment, and the only way you can get joy is to go into nature, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you take your joy with you wherever you go, you could go into nature, you could go into the worst slum in the world,
Yeah.
um, total shithole, and it would be the same because your joy goes with you wherever you go. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He went in to the leper colonies, he went into slums, and he brought his joy with him, and it didn't change. It wasn't like I'm a leper colony. Oh, my joy is the same joy, and he just radiated it out to people, and they felt it, and that's why they healed. So it is possible to do it, no matter what the circumstances are, which is what he demonstrated. But it does require a lot of mind training because you cannot then be affected by the illusions, by any of the appearances. Oh, there's a leper. Most people are, oh, horror. Oh God, this is terrible. Sickness, death, shy away. He was just like, I'm not bothered. It doesn't affect me at all. That's I mean, just like what a like such a stable mind. Just to be like,
Mm.
okay, it's an illusion. It doesn't really matter. All I see is that there's a person there. There's a soul there that's enslaved that is looking for love. That's
Mm.
all I see. And if I don't give it love, then it's going to die in an unloved state. And it's the love that I can give it that will heal it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I have no fear because the disease has no power over me because I don't give it any reality, so it can't infect me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so very simple. But to maintain that, to hold that awareness in the face of all of those illusions that he faced, I mean, just phenomenal. Just it's like
Mm.
what a mind. Just
Mm.
highly, highly, highly trained to be able to do that, which is why he was the Christ, I guess. Uh, okay, where are we?
Yeah, we're on 9 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy with number 8?
Yep.
Okay. So, but to translate here, do you want to read this in original and alternative? It says will of God, grandeur of God, God himself, etc. Do you want to do both?
Mm-hmm. Let's do that.
Okay. So,
So,
you want to read
can
the
your
original or the alternative?
yeah,
You want to read
can
the
your
original?
sorry, shall I
You
read?
want to read the original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can your grandeur be arrogant when God Himself witnesses to it?
Can my grandeur be arrogant when pure form oneness of perfect love or abundance itself witnesses to it? Capital I again. So then you've got to capitalize the it's as well.
Yeah.
And
And what can be real that has no witnesses?
what can be real that has no witnesses? Interesting question.
Yeah.
Is there reality in the absence of observation?
Yeah.
Okay, it goes into quantum here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no
What,
reality in the absence of observation.
yeah. What good can come of it?
What good can come of it?
And if no good can come of it, the Holy Spirit cannot use it.
If no good can come of it, I think that needs a comma, doesn't it? Sometimes while their punctuation is a bit
Mm.
off, that sentence needs a comma, doesn't it?
Mm.
no good can come of it, comma. The remembrance of perfect love cannot use it.
What he cannot transform to the will of God does not exist at all.
What it cannot transform to the will of pure formless oneness perfect love doesn't really work. We could say, so here's a choice. Say the will of perfect love, what it cannot transform into the will of perfect love, or what it cannot transform into pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance does not exist at all. I quite like, I try and translate will as awareness most of the time, because that's really what it is. It's, if you strip it down, there's no independent will other than your awareness. The will of God is just the awareness of perfect love. So I think let's go with that. So try and like be consistent across all of the different sections of the text and the rest of it as well, so that people get a consistent. The alternatives are logically consistent, and then there's no contradictions, because there are contradictions here, and I think it confuses a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like things like the little things like spirit is not capitalized. I mean, that's a contradiction. It's like, well, why not?
Yeah.
And people don't understand it, and they go, oh well, I just don't understand it. Whatever. Never going to understand this course. But actually, it's a mistake. They made a mistake. It's very simple. And you really look at it, there's only one explanation for it. They should have capitalized it if they were being completely logically consistent, but they didn't, because whatever, they made a mistake. They got tired. You can imagine, I suppose, once they locked it in, you're going to go back 17 chapters in arrears and go and correct all that. And remember, they didn't have AI or any of that. It was all manual at that point. So they're probably like, no, just leave it. That's fine. It's too much work. Just leave it. It'll be okay. Except
So
when someone like Jono gets hold of it and then says, no, it's not really okay, actually. But that's how things evolve, and that's how they improve. It's not cast in stone. As soon as you do that, then you stop evolving. And that is already the danger I can see in the course community. People are like, oh, the text is sacred, you can't change it. So when I really get this out into the world, because at the moment no one really knows about it, but when it starts becoming more known, it'll be interesting to see how it's perceived.
Yes.
You'll see there'll be a lot of resistance. People go, oh, you can't do that. You've translated the course. It's sacred. Blah 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 blah. You watch. But it's fine, It's like, okay, well, actually, it's not for everyone. If it doesn't resonate with you, just read the original. But I've kept the integrity of the original. That's there, and in fact, a lot of the learning comes from reading the original and then reading the alternative and going, okay, now I see what it means. So there's that's how we learn. In the translation, we learn. There's a shift. There's a transformation that comes in the translation. Transformation. It's the same thing. Get it? Oh, but it will be interesting to see how my friends at the Miracle Network take this. I want to see. Or the Foundation for Inner Peace, because they're the ones who have they did claim the copyright. They don't own that now, but they.
Because they're translating it into different languages. They'll be kind of reinterpreting the text, I'm sure, in order to do the translations, because it won't make sense in certain languages, I think, if they were to translate it word for word.
Yeah, probably that's gone on for sure. I think the way the translations work is someone volunteers and just does it. They don't do it.
Yeah.
Someone who gets passionate about it, do Spanish, says, okay, I'll take on
and there's bound to be changes from the original translation.
Inevitably there will be. So what we do, and we're just using the same language, but it's a different language in the same language. It's a different terminology in the same language.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I don't think this has been done before, which then will be the controversy, because it's English, but it's just now I'm actually changing terms quite significantly. God becomes pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, that's a significant change. A lot longer. So there's a lot more words in my version of the course, because a lot of the words have been expanded. But for me, pure formless awareness of perfect love says a lot more about what it actually is than God.
Yeah.
You're actually describing in the words, okay, it's a pure, absolutely pure, there's nothing else, formless, there's no form, it's just awareness, and it's perfect love. It's perfect loving awareness. It's perfect, pure love. All these are powerful pointers to what it is. Whereas God doesn't really do very much for me anyway. It's a strong Anglo-Saxon word that I think was actually part of the whole system. It's like, let's just call it God, because if we describe it too much, people might actually start to connect with God themselves, and we don't want that. We want them to worship God. That is a nice, strong Anglo-Saxon noun that sits there like God, Lord. It's very like rock-like. It's not pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's much more. It feels more flowing, doesn't it? Feels more like, okay, this is more about softer.
Yeah.
I'm going into a deeper part of my own awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's got a sort of poetry to it.
Yes.
So the words then point you to what it actually is, much better than God. Which who invented that? I mean, where did the word God even come from? It's an Anglo-Saxon word that wasn't the original Aramaic for sure. It wasn't Hebrew. It was invented to describe this being in the sky called God that they thought, So it goes with a certain level of consciousness, of awareness of what this God actually is and does. And so maybe, just the language changing can change our perception of what this is. All right. So where are we?
So grandiosity is delusional because it is used to replace your grandeur. So it's 6.
Number 6. Okay. Grandiosity is delusional because it is used to replace my grandeur, because let's make it active. There's also a lot of passive tense in the course as well, which I try and change. Grandiosity is delusional because I use it. So then it becomes much more dynamic, doesn't it? Because I use it to replace my grandeur. Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So that's what I do. Yeah. I use my grandiosity to replace my grandeur. And therein lies the seduction of it. It seems to be God, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a false God.
Yet what God has created cannot be replaced.
Yet what pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance has, so this is where again, you see how the tenses get, it hasn't created it because it's always been. Created implies that it didn't exist and then it was, so it's not a particularly good word to describe what it is. It extends. Yet what pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance extends, present tense, cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
So it's extending it right now into your own awareness, which is why you have any kind of awareness at all. It's because this awareness, fundamental awareness, is extending into your mind and giving you that awareness.
Yeah.
So we're all connected to this one awareness, which is kind of the whole point. We need to realize that the words need to point us there more accurately than God or whatever. So all right, so number 7.
8. God is incomplete without you because his grandeur is total and you cannot be missing from it.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance is incomplete without me because its grandeur is total and I cannot be missing from it.
And it's the grandeur of the capital G there?
Yeah, I'm going to point it out. So these are little things, but it's important that you keep the consistency because otherwise people go, well, why is it small? Well, it's just because it's a mistake. That's why so we didn't notice it because there's so many words that's very easy to miss it. But that's why actually, if you do you use the word replace function, it's quite useful because then those mistakes don't happen. Humans make mistakes, especially when you're tired. Like sometimes I read stuff and I'm like, did I write that? Oh God. Like seriously, I thought I got this right, but I was honestly so tired that I was just zoning out. And then you're just like, okay, 2 o'clock in the morning or something, and you just zone out, and you miss a word, or you miss a phrase or a sentence or whatever. Or the other day I was like, oh my goodness, I actually haven't translated the whole section. I just missed an entire section. I'm like, how did I miss that for like 3 years running? But I guess it was a Saturday. I'm tired. It's like I probably maybe recognized it, and I was like, I don't have the bandwidth to do it now, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then I forget, and a year later I'm like, oh, I thought I'd done the whole course. Anyway, I think now I have actually. I think the end of this year it'll be all done, and then it's just about tweaking it and fine tuning it. Okay, so number 10. Will I read the original? You read the alternative.
Yeah.
You are altogether irreplaceable in the mind of God.
I am altogether irreplaceable in the mind of pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance.
So does that abundance work for you? I've just recently started introducing it. It was always pure formless awareness of perfect love, but if we're going to put that out as the okay, so this is actually all about abundance, it makes sense to integrate it into the very heart of the text and so on. It's not that difficult to do. It's just since it's an extra word. So now you've got 2 takes. I thought about doing a second translation, but I'm like, no, that's going to get too tedious. Another alternative, people are just going to go, it's too much.
No.
It has to be.
I think just having one alternative.
Yeah, and you just say or abundance. I thought of putting a slash.
Well, I wondered about or putting.
I don't like slashes. It kind of breaks up the.
Yeah, I would stick. I would leave it as or.
It's more sort of flowing.
Yes,
I debated that, but it's more flowing, I think.
Yeah,
so
I've just
then
got to
you
go to
can
the
view
other
it as
room, Jonathan, because my battery is about to die. So I'm just going to turn my camera off.
Yeah. Okay.
Plug in. Okay. Shall we? Yeah. Let's carry on.
Yeah. And then in the mind of, let's just go perfect love or abundance. Okay. You're reading the original, yeah?
Yeah. So no one else can fill your part in it. And while you leave your part of it empty, your eternal place merely waits for your return.
No one else can fill my part in it. So that should be, see again, the it is not capitalized, but it was talking about the mind of God. So again, consistency would mean you have to put it as capital. No one else can fill my part in it. And while I leave my part of it empty, beneath a comma, my eternal place merely waits for my return.
Can you hear me, Jonathan?
Yeah. I can hear you fine. Yeah. Okay. You want to read number 3 then?
Yes. So God, through his voice, reminds you of it, and himself keeps your extensions safe within it.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance through its voice reminds me of it. This is of leave my part of it empty. Right. So do we capitalize of it? What do you think? It's referring to the part of it empty. No one else can fill my part in it. And while I leave my part of it, that needs to be capitalized. All of it needs to be capitalized. My eternal place. How about we capitalize that? That could be good. My eternal place. See, then it just makes it nice and consistent. You see all the way through. Capitalized. My eternal place merely waits for my return. So pure form source of perfect love or abundance through its voice reminds me of it. And pure form source of perfect love or abundance itself keeps my extensions safe within it. I need a comma there, I think. Keeps my extensions. So the extensions, the original was creations, I think. Oh, no, actually it's extensions.
Yeah.
Keeps your extensions safe within it. So the idea that we extend our thoughts and our feelings outwards, those become your extensions that are extended from this loving, abundant state, which then is your frequency, right? That's what you're transmitting into the world. So those extensions then go out and they come back and they create miracles, healing, blessing, and so on. Okay.
Yet
you do not know them.
Yet you do not know them until you return to them.
Yet I do not know them until I return to them.
You cannot replace the kingdom, and you cannot replace yourself.
I cannot replace the state of pure formless awareness, and I cannot replace myself. And that should be capital self. See? That makes more sense.
Yeah. God, who knows your value, would not have it so, and so it is not so.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance, I call it which. It's not really a who. Again, it's depersonalizing it. The idea of a personal God who, as soon as you personify it, it becomes dangerous, because now God has a personal quality, and then there's naturally a tendency to separate it from you. God is now separate from you, some being outside of you, which is not true at all. Which knows my value would not have it so, and so it is not so. Won't have it so, and so it is not so.
Yeah,
would not have it. Lots of so's going on there.
I know, it's too many so's.
Yeah, too many so's. I think would not have it so, and so it is not so.
Yeah.
Maybe he's doing it intentionally. Would not have it be this way. Maybe.
No, I like so there. Wouldn't have it
like so.
Yeah, keep it. Yeah.
Would not have it so, and therefore.
Yeah.
Therefore.
No, it is. And
therefore, it is not so. It is not the case. No, let's leave so there. Two so's. Yeah. 3 so's was too much. Therefore, it is not so. Yeah. You can have a bit of a laugh about this as well, aren't you? Quite funny. What did you laugh about? You know, it was really like made your evening. Oh, we were laughing about
too many so's.
Yeah. So's in a Course in Miracles section. So. Nerds entertainment. Course in Miracles nerds entertainment for the evening. But it is kind of funny. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Certainly beats watching TV.
No, but it's almost like it's emphasizing, like, but it's almost like it's emphasizing that it's not so, and therefore it is not so. It's kind of like, it's like a double emphasis. Yeah.
Well, he does repeat a lot because he's trying to emphasize the point. To say, okay, so I'm going to drum this into you. It's actually really basic, but I know that you're very confused, so I've got to repeat these simple truths over and over and over again so that you get it and finally accept it. That's the only way you're going to wake up. Okay, so where are we? Next
7.
One.
Yeah.
7. Yeah.
Your value is in mind and not in yours alone.
My value is in perfect love's mind, and therefore not in mine alone.
Yeah. And then if you could scroll back up to 8, please.
To accept yourself.
Yeah. To accept yourself as God created you cannot be arrogance, because it is the denial of arrogance.
To accept myself as pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance so extends me. So again, not past tense. Extends. It extends me right now. I wouldn't have awareness unless I was extended by it right now and every moment. I would simply cease to exist. But I never have ceased to exist because I'm eternal. So just the problem is if you use a word like created, it creates a false impression of what it is. That it's somehow in the past, at some point I didn't exist, and then God created me and brought me into existence. That's not true. That's not how it works. It's You are eternal awareness, and that awareness extends you eternally, which is why you have eternal life. And your mind cannot die. And that's happening whether you like it or not. That's going to happen for all eternity. So you have existence for eternity, and there was never a time that you didn't exist. That, you see, that removes it totally from the ego's domain, because the ego likes to think of time and, oh, you were created as some kind of separate being or entity by God at some point in time, and you didn't exist before then. But that's ridiculous, because then what did exist before then? There must have been something that existed before then that then brought you into being, even if you accept that you didn't exist. So there must be some eternal awareness of God, logically. It points to it. You can't really escape that unless you're completely in denial, as a lot of scientists are. Okay, so where did the Big Bang come from then? Well, I don't know. It just kind of came into being. One, as Rupert Sheldrake says, well, science gives you one free miracle. All matter and energy comes into existence from a single source, explodes out, and then okay, that's the end of the miracle then. No more miracles. Now we just take it from here. Now it's all science. But hang on, there's a pig. Like, where did that come from then? They can't really explain it. It's a major flaw in the whole theory, as he points out. Okay, so where are we? Number
so we're on 9.
9.
So to accept your littleness is arrogant, because it means that you believe your evaluation of yourself is truer than God's.
Accept my littleness is arrogant because it means that I believe my evaluation of myself is truer than perfect love's. Okay, so any thoughts on that one? What's he saying there? Any thoughts, Archie?
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Just thinking.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting idea that to accept your littleness is arrogant. So to be a victim is actually arrogance. Because you're saying that I'm not what I am. God creates me, extends me to be perfect, whole, complete, and I'm in my arrogance saying that I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm little. I'm a victim instead. The ego is going to say, "Oh no, you're incredibly arrogant and blasphemous to claim that you are God, but actually you're not. That's just the truth of who you are." And you saw that in Yeshua's conflict with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They were like, "Blasphemy! You claim that you are God."
Yeah.
But actually, he wasn't blaspheming; they were blaspheming. But you see why the thought systems don't agree. It's like, well, they're never going to see it eye to eye, are they? They're never going to agree. From their viewpoint, he was the blasphemer. From his viewpoint, they were blaspheming because he understood what God really is. What God is way more than the false God that they believe in. So you're just never going to reconcile them. It's one or the other. So yeah, like formal religion versus truth. What we call the mystic versions, they're actually not really the same at all. They're opposite. They say they contradict each other. Really honest about it. So you've got to choose between them. Okay, so I believe my evaluation of myself is truer than perfect love's, which is delusional and arrogant in the extreme. Okay, last one. Yet if truth is indivisible, do you want to read the original alternative?
Yep. So if truth is indivisible, your evaluation of yourself must be God's.
Yet if truth is indivisible, my evaluation of myself must be perfect love's. Do we capitalize self there? What do you think?
Yeah.
Small s.
Yeah, capital S.
Yeah. My evaluation of myself must be perfect loves.
Yeah, must be perfect loves. Yeah.
You see how it all ties in then. You do that,
That
it's
makes
like,
sense. So with the
yeah,
capital L.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You did not establish your value and it needs no defense.
I did not establish my value and it needs no defense.
Nothing can attack it nor prevail over it.
It does not vary, right? So should value be capitalized? It should really. If it does not vary, he's saying it's level one, you see? So to be really consistent, you should capitalize it. Because now he's talking about our true value.
Yeah.
Nothing can attack it, capital.
Yeah. Nothing can attack it nor prevail over it.
No, capital. And there, there's the giveaway. It does not vary. Okay, you're talking level one there, eternal.
Yeah.
Then it must be capital.
Yeah. It merely is. Ask the Holy Spirit what it is, and he will tell you. But do not be afraid of his answer, because it comes from God.
I will ask the remembrance of perfect love. I'm going to start translating that as abundance. So that's quite a nice way to think of it, isn't it? It's the remembrance of perfect love, but sometimes that doesn't really help that much. But if it's a remembrance of abundance, maybe that is quite helpful in some context.
Yeah, rather than the I will there, can you not just leave it as ask? Or
Yeah,
because
ask the Holy Spirit what it is. So he's giving us instruction. He's saying ask, so I would translate in first person. I ask, it merely is. I ask the remembrance of perfect love what it is, and it will tell me. But I'm not afraid of its answer.
Yeah.
Because
Listen and not.
Because it comes from pure force of perfect love or abundance. That sentence. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen and do not question what you hear.
It is an exalted answer because of its source. Oh no, hang on. Did we skip one? 7.
Oh, sorry, yes. If you
7,
could just
yeah.
scroll up, please.
7, yeah.
Is it 7? Yeah. So it is an exalted answer because of its source, but the source is true, and so is answer.
Yeah. So answer should be capitalized. He actually does capitalize answers in another part of the text. So she gone. Oh, you're back.
Sorry, I am sorry. My internet's really yeah, that's why I've turned my camera off. It's just kind of
that's okay. It's exalted answer.
And also, sorry, because I I wasn't quite hearing what you were saying either. But okay, sorry, where are we up to?
It is an exalted answer because of its source, but the source is true, and so is its answer. So I'm capitalizing answer because it's again the same. The answer is referring to the source. The source is true, and so is its answer. Well, anything that's true must then be capitalized, right? So it's on the same level.
Are you going to replace exalted by magnificent?
Yeah, we could do. What do you think? So
Yeah,
it's a bit more.
Again, it's just to be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a magnificent answer because of its source, capital I, but the source is true, and so is its answer. Okay. All right, so 2 more to go, 8 and 9.
Yeah, so listen and do not question what you hear, for God does not deceive.
So I listen and do not question what I hear, for pure forms of awareness of perfect love or abundance does not deceive.
He would have you replace the ego's belief in littleness with his own exalted answer to what you are, so that you can cease to question it and know it for what it is.
It wants me to replace the belief in separation and scarcities, belief in littleness. It's too much. Belief in separation and scarcity is belief. He wants to replace just the belief in littleness.
Yeah, belief in.
The belief in littleness.
Yeah.
He wants to replace my belief, actually. So it becomes personalized. He wants to replace my belief in littleness with its own exalted answer to what I am.
Yeah.
So
Do you
I
want
can
to
see.
put magnificent instead of exalted there?
The exalted is hardly ever used anymore. It's like a very old-fashioned word, isn't it?
Yeah.
A magnificent answer to what I am, so I can cease to question it and know it for what it is. Then I can cease to question it again, capital I, and know it for what it is. He's referring to level 1.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I should be.
Yes, that should be capitalized. Yeah.
But these are all inconsistent. I think this confuses a lot of people. So they're like, okay, so it's now what it is he talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's so many it's flying around, and it's like, okay, so is that it? Yeah, yeah. I'm getting confused as to what he's talking about, and then it all just becomes a bit confusing, and I just give up. Sadly, the text, which is unfortunately, I think the case. Probably with, it'd be interesting if you did a stat, if you did a survey. I reckon 80 to 90% of course students give up on the text, but they end up not they read a bit, but they don't read it fully. They don't ever read the text, completely, at least once. They like dip in, and then they might dip in and out, or they just went, this isn't for me. I'll just do the workbook because it's too hard. So it hasn't really. This course hasn't even really touched science yet in the world. You think of the impact that it could have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It hasn't even started to well, it has started, but it's a very early stage awakening that it's brought about, because there's only 3 million copies or something that have been sold.
Yeah.
That's not a
I mean,
lot.
considering how long it's been around for as well, it's 50 years. I'm really surprised that even within, the circles that I'm in, that a lot of people have not even heard of it. So, yeah.
It's quite niche. It's a difficult read. It hasn't really, I'm sure books like Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, etc., sold many more
Yes.
copies, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's because it's not an easy. This is
No.
like not something you're just going to pick up and, oh, nice easy read. I can just
Yeah.
sit and it's all not nice and comfortable and easy, and and then I put the book down and I read a bit more. And, I mean, there's a place for that. Like Power of Now is great. It did make a lot of concepts understandable to many more people, and it was necessary. But this book just takes it to another level entirely.
Yeah.
And not everyone is ready for that level, and they're not ready for the language,
Mm.
and they don't want
That I
to
find is the
read as
biggest stumbling
intensively.
block actually for me is the language.
Yeah,
I have to read things a number of times just to
yeah,
really
yeah,
understand what's being
yeah.
meant. Mm.
Which is, I think, part of the whole process. He's wanting you
Yeah.
to really pay attention
Yeah.
to the language and read it carefully,
Yeah.
and maybe spend some time deciphering each sentence,
Mm.
paragraphs, thinking about it. So it's definitely not something to be speed read. And
No.
of course, it's not something you should speed read.
Yeah.
You might do a quick scan initially of a section and then go, okay, so that's just my initial, like you were doing studying. I'll scan it but then I'll read it. I'll read it properly and thoroughly. And it's actually best if you discuss it. I find it works really
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I find the discussions
That's
really
about it.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, you speak about it, and then a lot of these ideas, when you speak about them and you give examples,
Yeah.
they start to make a lot more sense. So, okay, well, there's a practical example of what he's talking about, which then allows you to apply it, to go, oh, okay, I can see how that applies now because I've seen an example. Which, of course, it doesn't do. It doesn't really do that. Doesn't give examples. Just teaches you the theory and says, well, you've got to apply it, learn to apply it yourself. So I think it does need some translation, it needs assistance, it needs help. It's a kind of, it needs a study guide and just, supporting notes and all that kind of stuff, which I guess is exactly what I've tried to create over 8 years. Is like, okay, so all of this stuff is designed to help you get to grips with this, to learn it on a deeper level than you could have or would have otherwise. It's kind of the mission. Otherwise, you just leave it as it is. I did at some point. I thought, am I just going overkill? Maybe just leave it as it is. But then something like, well, then those problems are going to remain if you leave it as it is. Problems with the language. People don't like the Christian terminology. They don't resonate with the language because it's old-fashioned. There's issues with the capitalizations. All of that remains a problem. Or change it and sort all that out, and maybe that gives people a whole new lease of life with the course. They tried to read it before and they just couldn't get into it, and then suddenly they're like, oh, actually, now with the help of this, I can get into it, and I can learn it, and it's starting to make sense to me. And that is, as I said, vital to, if you're really studying the course, you need to read the text and understand it, preferably a few times, because you're probably not going to understand it the first time you read it. So, at least twice. I've read it, I don't know, three times back to back, and then, as part of this program, probably several times more, because of reading, and then not just reading, translating, going into it and saying, okay, so what does that word mean? And we're like we do, analyzing sentence by sentence, line by line. You get into a level of depth and detail that most people just don't. Which is the value of it. So, on that note, there actually is the summary, but it's a summary of another section. I still haven't done the summary. I ran out of time this morning. So should we just leave it there?
That's great.
I'll do the summary. So maybe just a 1 minute summary. Give me your 1 minute. What is he saying here in a nutshell?
In the whole lesson.
Yes.
Oh dear.
But you see, there's the challenge. Okay, so can you summarize? Well, what are the key themes? It's grandeur versus grandiosity, right? So he's talking about grandeur, and he's talking about what grandiosity is.
So so being able to identify the difference. Oh, sorry, you're breaking up.
Maybe so. I guess depends on identifying
the difference between grandeur and grandiosity, or grandiosity and grandeur, whichever way around you want to put it.
Title: Grandeur versus grandiosity. I think it's grandeur first. Grandeur first, Difference between
grandeur and grandiosity.
And choosing grandeur. Instead of. I mean, that's really simple. That's the essence of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Using grandeur instead of grandiosity. In every situation. Okay, what else does he say? Just one more sentence.
There's something about the truth as well, that the truth is unchangeable, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it's the truth because it's it's unchangeable.
You see why AI is so helpful in this, because I just go summarize it. Summarize it in 50 words, done.
Yes, exactly. I know.
Then I read it, I'm like, okay, sometimes I tweak it a bit, but it's really, really good at summarizing. How it's because it's quite difficult to, like, well, what do you leave out? How does it decide what to put in and what to leave out. I don't know. It seems to do quite a good job of it.
It does.
But,
I don't know how it does it.
well, much better than
And also
humans
how it
because we
does
don't
it so
try
quickly as well, like it's
quickly.
it's
And then goes, okay, I'll give you the essence of it in
yeah,
in a paragraph. Maybe
yeah.
we could say something about truth is indivisible. Because I mean, this is really the key theme. Is pure formless awareness of perfect love or abundance wants me to realize my magnificence. I think that would be a good. Of me to realize my true magnificence by letting go let me say remembrance of perfect love. Realize my true magnificence by letting go of my belief in
I don't know.
littleness
Yeah.
or grandiosity,
Yeah.
which are really the same underlying belief in separation and scarcity. That'll do. Would you say that's kind of the essence of what he was saying?
Yeah.
And then there's a little bite size. Someone's like, I mean, they might have read the whole thing and they're like, okay, that just like really summarizes it for me. Or they might just skip to the end and go, okay, I'll just do the key message because it's only a paragraph. But I'd rather they do that than nothing. It's like rather than not read at all. At least you got the key message, which is quite profound. If you just accept that, obviously reading it and really exploring it, you get more. But if you just do the key message, then that's I'm happy. At least you've done something. So really, the same underlying belief in separation and scarcity. Okay, so then just read that from the top. The key message to summarize.
So my awakening depends on identifying the difference between grandeur and grandiosity and choosing grandeur instead of grandiosity in every situation. The remembrance of perfect love or abundance will help me to realize my true magnificence by letting go of my belief in littleness or grandiosity, which are really the same underlying belief in separation and scarcity.
We put grandeur there maybe because sort of relates it back. My grandeur, yeah. So now then we've got grandeur in there
Well, then
again.
you don't need magnificence. I think you can just say, that the remembrance of perfect love or abundance will help me to realize my grandeur by letting go of my belief in littleness or grandiosity.
So really the same underlying belief in separation and scarcity. Sort of makes that point. Anything else you want to say, or you didn't get enough? Enough.
Yeah, I think so for now.
Enough. Yeah.
It's way past my bedtime.
I'm just starting to catch up. I'm like, oh, okay, but getting a bit tired now.
No, but that was
all right. Well, lovely session. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed that. I haven't done my
me
text for a
too.
while.
Me too. That was great.
So it's a different energy from the workbook, but yeah, equally valuable. So some of the I find getting into it gives you some sort of deeper insights. And you can have some really interesting discussions if you start relating it to aspects of life in the world.
Yes, exactly.
And that's when it comes alive.
Yeah.
That's really, I
No, I
suppose, my
agree.
mission. If you
Absolutely.
can make the text come alive for people, they, oh wow, this is actually so deep. It's rich. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much. Wow, it's giving me so much insight into myself, into the world.
Yeah.
Then it's fascinating. People are like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I really want to learn this because it's
Yeah.
actually really interesting.
Yeah.
We've had a really interesting evening
Yeah.
talking about these spiritual principles and discussing. Like people say, well, yeah, boring. Why don't you watch a movie or something
Mm.
like that? But this is way more interesting and engaging, in my view,
Mm.
than just watching something where, tell me my vision, just like feed
Yeah.
me images. You're actually having to engage, think,
Yeah.
and then you connect with that presence that you talking about.
Mm.
The more you talk about it, the more
Mm.
you realize, well, there's something there, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, otherwise we couldn't
Yeah.
talk about it. There
Yeah.
must be something that we couldn't talk about, in this depth if there wasn't something of substance
Yeah.
there. So the more you discuss it, the more you acknowledge its reality,
Mm.
which is kind of the whole point of studying it. The more you immerse yourself, study it, the more it's like, yeah, well, this must be real. It has to, because I'm spending all this time on it. That it can't be anything other than that. And the effect on me is real. I'm feeling the feelings. I'm feeling the emotions. I'm feeling more inspired. I'm
Mm.
feeling this abundance
Mm.
rising in me.
Mm.
Okay, you know what? So that's all illusory. But
Mm.
then, the again, it comes down to questioning what you believe is real,
Yeah.
because the scientific materialist, you say only the external quadrants of reality are real. But that is quite a massive assumption to make, isn't it?
Mm.
Okay, so you just dismiss thoughts, emotions, memories, states of mind, perceptions, and sensations, and none of that's true. None of that's real. Like, whoa, like, how can you say that?
Mm.
Just because you can see, feel, measure, and touch this, now you've assumed that that's more real than what you're experiencing internally. But maybe you got it all wrong. Maybe this is the illusion,
Mm.
and this is the reality. It's
Mm.
all backwards and upside down.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm sure you want to go to bed. I need to probably get some sleep as well. So I will. Tomorrow we were going to do it 2:30, weren't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna have to cancel that or postpone it
Yeah.
because let me just stop recording.